Reaper and Zach and Doreen and Goldie, Howard, David, have a nice day in paradise on QAM.
This is South Florida's only real sports station, WQAM, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a Beasley Broadcast Group station, and WQAM.com. World.
Solid citizen that he's become. You didn't dare go up to Manny because he might go berserk. He took losing so hard. A lot of others. Nick Bonaconte, boy, whew. You didn't want to be around him after they lost. There were other guys who stayed on an even keel, like Shula most of the time. Oh!
This fall, television changes forever. His Tell It Like It Is style has already impacted millions of Americans. His appearances on Oprah have propelled him into the national limelight. Get ready for Dr. Phil.
Well, Phil, we've been married 20 years.
Don't cry.
I'm not crying.
Look at me when you talk.
I'm looking right at you.
See, your problem is you're stupid.
No, you see, me and my husband...
You got a big butt, too, and you're stupid.
What?
Why are you crying? You see, I don't have any sympathy for you.
But you see, me and my husband...
You're an idiot.
We haven't had sex in like 10 years.
Well, I wouldn't have sex with you either. Look at the can on you. Dr. Phil.
You know, the problem seems to be I come home, I want to watch TV.
Don't tell me about you. Tell me about her.
Well, I'm not trying to tell you. She comes into the room.
Don't tell me what she does. Tell me what you do.
I sit in the chair, and I have the TV on.
No,
and
you're too busy watching TV is your deal. That's what men want to do. We just want to watch TV. You can't do it.
Well, I want to do it. And
well, you can't do it. See, your problem is you're dumb. You're a dumb, watching TV idiot. Excuse me? I said you're a dumb. Don't eyeball me like that. I'm trying to help you. You're on my show. You don't have your own show, do you? You know, you need some of this. Oh, how about this? Oh, idiot. Oh, Dr. Phil.
See, Dr. Phil, he just doesn't...
Now, why are you talking so quiet? You see, already I can tell that you're a pushover.
But he just doesn't...
Don't tell me what he does.
But I just don't understand
How about some of this for you, too? Some of this.
Dr. Phil, this fall.
Here you go, Mr. Announcer Boy. Some love for you, too.
902 at 560 WQM. Happy Thursday to you. And guess what? We're all still alive. How do you like that? Aren't you shocked? So George is out sick today. We think he's still alive. And Miguel is there, sitting in that room. That's your first time, huh?
Yes, sir.
Sitting at that other board, which he's very excited about. Now, what is this? This is shameful.
I saved that for now.
This is the second time that he's pulled this crap. You know, yesterday he was building up to, I think I'm getting sick, that kind of deal, which, I'll give him credit. I don't think he was sick like all through the summer, was he?
A little bit, actually.
No, I don't mean that, but I mean he didn't miss any work.
Well, he couldn't.
No, that's my point. He couldn't because, why couldn't he? When I was doing the show on those Tuesdays and Thursdays, he could have been out sick. But nevertheless, for a guy that used to be sick like all the time, at least 3 out of every 4 days, he hasn't been sick for a long time. So I'm trying this other bank here. I am that hemorrhoid on this thing, on the 360, which I haven't used these in a long time.
Get down on your hands and knees and lick my boots. Ay, Dios mío, esos carros.
I just am warning the audience for that, in case they hear different things, or in case I hit like the wrong button. Like...
Yeah, Bush.
Speaking of that, looks like we got Bill McBride in there by about 8,000 votes. It looks like, and of course all the networks are busy ridiculing the crap out of Florida. We're enjoying that now.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida. We're used to that. We kind of like that. We like being dumb and stupid and things like that. Anyway, this that Miguel just faxed me is so outrageous. Join George. I guess that's what he's doing right now. He's doing a little appearance prep. You've heard of show prep. He's doing a little appearance prep. Maybe he's getting his penis polished or something like that. Join George from 5 to... Or maybe just cleaning out the toe cheese. From 5 to 7 tonight at Treasure Island. You're going to be there, too, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And Boca Brian?
Probably.
Treasure Island tonight, located off the Palmetto, just north of the 122nd Street exit. Stop by for prizes, Budweiser specials, plus check out this week's feature, Zoe Britton. Sounds like a guy. Tonight at Treasure Island, you'll have to go and find out for yourself. So George is too sick to work, but not too sick to be at Treasure Island. How do you like that? Takes a big pair. Yeah, I'm just trying these things out. Our poll yesterday, 860 votes. If the election for governor were being held today, for whom would you vote? And now it's changing again. I hate that. Every time I look at that damn computer screen, 861 votes. Bill McBride, 501, 58.1%. I got to go back to Bank 1, okay? Or Bank, whatever the hell it is.
Oh!
See, because that's not on Bank 3. Bill McBride, 501. Neither Bill or Jeb, 181. And Jeb Bush comes in behind neither, 179. So 58.1 to 20.7 is almost 3-1. It was running about 3-1 yesterday. So that's why Jeb was crapping his pants, and he had a caustic comment or two this morning about the two biggest counties in the state can't hold an election. It's a disgrace. Yeah, he's only pissed off because not enough of Janet's Butlerkers came out. I'll tell you, she couldn't have done any better in Dade and Broward. She had like over 70% in Dade and about 68% in Broward. And what the hell more could you want? But she just didn't have enough of them come out, I guess is what it was. And like I tried to explain to you, if she can't beat a guy that nobody ever heard of 2 weeks ago, how the hell is she going to beat Jeb Bush? And the answer is she wouldn't. So all you people out there, your intentions were good, I guess, all you Democrats that voted for Janet. But, what's the point? What is the point of continuing to nominate candidates who can't win the general election? What is the point? Is there any point in that?
No.
Unless having like a death wish. Now, speaking of amazing things, this could be the most phenomenal, bizarre thing in a long time. And let me say it again. We're alive. We didn't have any terrorist activities yesterday. We had a couple of suspicious things, minor, but nothing really meaningful. No terrorist activity in spite of what John Ashcroft was saying and Tom Rigid. On the anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, a date often repeated as 9/11, the numbers that pop up for the New York lottery last night were 911.
Oi!
Can you believe that? The numbers were picked in the standard random fashion using all the same protocols, said lottery spokeswoman Carolyn Hapeman. It's just the way the numbers came up. Anybody believe Carolyn?
No.
No, we don't believe you, sweetheart. Lottery officials expected to know late this morning. Late this morning? I thought it's later. Well, a little later on. How many people picked those numbers and how much they won, Hapeman said. She said the number of winners must be high because the 911 combination reached the lottery's set limit for combinations and sold out. On any given day, 7 to 10 sets of numbers are closed out, she said. So in other words, it's going to pay peanuts. Jeff Cook, a clerk at an Albany area convenience store, said he sold 20 to 25 tickets with those numbers just in one store alone. But another Albany area clerk, Farzad Khosravi, said people seemed reluctant about betting and possibly winning on tragedy. I think some people were disgusted with the idea of playing that number because it represents a black day in the history of America, he said. For the evening drawing, the state lottery used numbered balls circulating in a machine. Hapeman said Wednesday was the first time in more than a year that the 911 combination came up. How do you like that, huh? Talking about a strange coincidence, or maybe the Lord was trying to send a message, you think?
No.
Probably not. So we're still alive, and not only did we survive a day when we were in an orange alert, which we still are, by the way, but also survived a day when I got a couple of articles about it, including one by little bald-headed Tommy Jicka.
Oh!
About the media coverage, the incessant, it's a damn good thing I have my digital cable here and about 75,000 channels, because even channels like IFC, the International Film Channel, they had crap on it. Everywhere you turn, all the networks, all depression all day. So I had to watch Scream TV, the horror movies, and the drive-in movie channel, all that cornball old crap, and the game show channel. That was it. Those are basically the only choices you had. Everywhere you turn.
Well, according to St. John.
See, there it is again. There it is again. Give us a break already. It's over. This is 9/12 now. Okay, we're starting a new leaf, a new page in history. Give us a freaking break. Can you do it?
No.
God damn it. Same old crap, just on and on and on. How many women crying? And, of course, we've seen these horrible stories. See, if they would have stopped last year, like a few days after the attacks, if they would have given it a breather, then it might have been significant. But they've never let up. So there was nothing new. And then, of course, the networks continued showing, the planes going into the building. The claim to fame is now, ABC, they only showed the second plane making the turn, banking, and then they stopped it. They didn't actually show the impact. And then the next frame, they showed the building already, like, on fire. And I guess they want brownie points for that. So anyway, final tally, says the Sun Sentinel. It's McBride by 8,000 over Reno.
Oh!
Well, I bet you Bush he's probably got to change his underwear every 5 minutes. I sure hope we don't find no crack cocaine in any old underpants. Florida gubernatorial candidate Bill McBride had an 8,000 vote lead over Janet Reno in the Democratic primary early this morning, but was holding off on declaring victory as the state continues to sort out a race that's brought back memories of that grotesque 2006 presidential election. The word fixed being mine, not the Sun Sentinel. I want to make sure you understand that. Sun Sentinel didn't say that. I said it. With all precincts reporting, I don't want to give you the number of votes. You know what it is. Darrell Jones had 11.6%, the dark-complected guy, and he's the one that kept Janet out. You are aware of that, aren't you?
Yes.
Because the black folks have voted for Janet big time and compared to McBride. But nevertheless, 11.6%, most of that would have gone to Janet, would have been a landslide. Although all precincts had reported results, Orange County was still reviewing some ballots that didn't scan properly. But it ain't going to be 8,000, Janet, in addition to which she got her ass whipped in Orange County. McBride's campaign wanted the State Division of Elections to make his victory official before he set his sights on Republican Governor Jeb Bush. Meanwhile, Reno's campaign was mulling its options, including a recount request or a lawsuit to overturn the results, amid claims that thousands of voters were turned away at the polls. Janet said she would be the better candidate because she knows her Bush. A final margin. I have a better line for that, but I guess I'll save it. Don't start with that, she could... Now, what's that echo I'm hearing in the back? What was that? Did you hear that for a second?
No.
Somebody's potchking with a pot in the other room, I think. Hey, Robert, cut the crap, baby. Whoever's in there dicking around. Probably the Beast. Oh, he's not there today, is he?
No, he's not.
No, he's going to weigh in tomorrow, the Beast. He's hopping on it. A final margin within 0.5% of the total votes cast, or about 6,700 votes, would automatically trigger a recount. According to the unofficial results, the margin was 7,991 votes out of more than 1.3 million cast. Both candidates were cautious yesterday as the threats of lawsuits and recounts loomed. At this point, I don't want to talk about it until I know what the circumstances are, was all that Reno would say. She don't want to talk about it. We'll see what happens, McBride said. I thought it was going to be close, but I thought it would have been settled by now. I just hope this gets straightened out, he'd be saying. I think he can beat the Jebmeister, okay? I really believe that. Make no mistake about it. And then this pathetic story about this old cocker. We'll get to it in a second after the break. Miguel said he saw the picture of this guy from Tamarack. He's 80 years old, looks like about 180. Isn't that what you said?
At least.
I didn't say that, Bill. That was Miguel that said that. What does he know? 12 minutes after 9 at 5. I still can't believe that little George is going to do the Treasure Island thing. Calls in sick this morning. Oh, he's probably getting a makeover for tonight, hoping that he gets lucky. Hey, you don't have to get made over to take Oleomed. All you have to do is open your mouth wide. Just pop it in your puss. Oleomed is a soft gel capsule. It's got a lot of good stuff in it, man. It's got the best olive oil you'll find anywhere, pure potency, along with vitamins and minerals and herbals to promote health for all different parts of your body. By the way, Skippy, you're an asshole. They've got one product for your prostate, one for your heart, your blood pressure, and cholesterol. Oleomed also makes one for your circulatory system, your digestive, your endocrine system. There's a product specifically designed for your skin and bones, even one for your mind, and believe me, it couldn't hurt in Florida. All using the benefits of pharmaceutical-grade olive oil. Like I said, the best you'll find anywhere. And don't forget, Oleomed makes products for men and ladies as well. You couldn't possibly forget if you listen to this show. Oleomed's available at Walgreens, Whole Food Markets, Navarro Pharmacy, and Sedano's too. If you want to get more information about this product and what it can do for you, just call their toll-free number, and they'll be more than ecstatic to answer your questions. Call toll-free, like I said, 1-866-OLEOMED. That's 1-866-OLEOMED. And don't forget, you can order their products on their website and get more info as well. OleomedAmerica.com.
Live and local. This is 560. The radio's all yours now. QAM.
Little John, George is coming.
Warning, we have mercilessly taken the following material out of context without endorsement or permission from those depicted. It is our ongoing mission to make everything that is good and decent look as ridiculous as possible. We hope we've reached that goal, or at least made you laugh.
Friends and distinguished guests, simply put, President Bush can read only at the most basic level. I'm working with a variety of organizations to achieve President Bush's great goal, learn basic vocabulary words. Education is a top priority for President Bush, and I presented him with a children's dictionary. I'm proud that my husband, just yesterday, he said kindergarten. Because education brings opportunity, our public schools are open to every child in America. And President Bush, thank you for your help.
And you're welcome. I understand Greg is working on teaching the president a new word. I don't know how you spell it, but he's working on it. Anyway, it's 9:17 at 560 QAM. So this worker says he babysat Florida ballots, another part of this grotesque embarrassment. A Broward County precinct clerk says he babysat ballots for nearly 16 hours because he was unable to contact voting officials to collect them. Bill McCamey, 80, and Miguel says he looks at least 180. Now, that's terrible.
He's old.
He's an old fart, is what he's trying to say.
Oi!
80, said he did the best he could at his precinct in Tamarack, but McCamey's story of what went wrong was one of many that plagued Tuesday's primary elections. McCamey was the only worker at his precinct during the final 2 hours of voting. Everyone else left at 7 p.m. after an adjacent precinct began shutting down. And you want to know why they began shutting down? Because they didn't get the word they were supposed to stay open the extra 2 hours. By the way, Miriam Oliphant needs to be canned. She needs to be fired. I see several articles about that. Well, the black people say this. I don't care what the dark people say. Fire her ass, okay? Good. And then that David Leahy in Dade County also. How the hell has he been hanging on? Who's he got naked pictures of? I think he's got naked pictures of Merritt Steerheim and Mayor Pinga Pequena doing it. Must have. Because Dade County, as usual, the last and the least and the worst. As of this morning, they finally got the last 2 precincts in there. Who the hell are you people kidding, huh? McCamey tried to close out the machines on his own after failing to reach county election officials for assistance. It took McCamey till 12:45 a.m. to reach the regional collection center. That's Tuesday night. But no officials were, I guess Wednesday morning, were there at that point, so McCamey took the ballots home. He took them home. I decided I'd done all I possibly could do, McCamey said. What else can you do? You can't reach anybody else by phone. McCamey was very cautious with the ballots, even taking them with him as he ran errands Wednesday morning. Election officials arrived at McCamey's home around 1 p.m. Wednesday to finally collect the sealed box. County Commissioner Suzanne Gunsberger said she hoped the election miscues would never be repeated. Right, Susie, right. As long as you got 95-year-old people all at all the polls who haven't got a clue which side is up and which is down. It's disheartening, it's disappointing, and really is a blemish for Broward County, she said. McCamey said he will not volunteer to work another election. I did a lousy job of clerking, he said. Let me ask you a question, okay?
Okay.
Because people under the age of 18 can't vote, right?
Right.
Why don't they make Election Day everywhere in the country a national holiday, and they train a bunch of, like, high school and junior high school, like, 16, 17-year-olds, people who aren't old enough to vote, but who have the day off from school that day. You follow what I'm saying?
Do you trust the kids, too?
What do you mean, do I trust them? At least they got an idea of where to plug something in and how to turn it on and whatever else. You know what I'm saying? These old farts, the one guy, they were waiting for hours, the one machine. You heard them talking on CNN this morning, John Zarella, and come to find out that the outlet that they had the machine plugged into was dead.
Duh.
Yeah, they only found out when they tried to stick their pacemaker plug in there, and it still wouldn't do nothing. And, let's try this outlet. Oh, it works. How do you like that? Now, this business of going to the polls and having people who are over the age of 100, it's not going to fly, man. It's got to stop. It's got to stop now. No, I think that's a good idea. Or get some college students to do it. Anybody under the age of 100, people who still got their reflexes, still have some kind of idea what the hell planet they're on.
You could earn community credit points,
Something, right.
Community service.
I'm hearing like an echo this morning. Is it just me or is it my imagination? Now, see, it came and it went. I think somebody's dicking with something in the other room. Speaking of, and to show you that high school students are, they're pretty responsible. High Point Central High School officials aren't laughing at a recent prank where 4 students commandeered a school projector and showed a pornographic movie to unsuspecting classmates.
All right.
The incident took place about 2 weeks. I don't know where High Point is. Anybody know where High Point is? No. Somebody let us know where the hell it is. I think it's somewhere in New York. The incident took place about 2 weeks ago in the cafeteria before school principal Joe Yeager said the first bus arrived early that morning, beating the teacher who normally supervises breakfast. Why do they have to have a teacher supervising breakfast? Do you ever hear such a thing?
Just in case.
In case what? In case somebody brings in porno flicks? 4 students took advantage of the situation by using the cafeteria's seldom-used video projection system to show an X-rated tape.
Oh!
One of the 4 apparently brought to school. About 20 students were in the cafeteria at the time. One of those students left the cafeteria, there's always one, to notify a school administrator who shut off the tape. Yeager said the tape ran for less than 5 minutes.
Jerk.
Yeah, what an idiot. What a moron. I guarantee you that kid got the snot beaten out of him after school that day. I guarantee you those other 19 kids lined him up against the wall and just beat him dizzy. The video equipment is off limit to students. Normally the equipment is locked up, but the cabinet mistakenly had been left unlocked, Yeager said. The 4 students responsible for the movie prank are in a lot of trouble, Yeager said. School officials called their parents to have recommended that the 4 be suspended from school, suspended a sentence. We're not going to have other students exposed to that, Yeager said, as he watched the rest of the movie in the privacy of his orifice. How do you like that? We're not going to have the students exposed to that. God only knows what they'll be doing. Speaking of that, don't forget George and Miguel at Treasure Island tonight, and Boca Brian and a whole bunch of other horny people. Now, Eric's probably waiting for the pool, although he's got plenty of time for brunch this morning. I understand Eric's going to be brunching between 9:30 and 11:45, just quitting just before lunchtime, taking a 15-minute break to, evacuate the premises. That's just a rumor I heard, Eric. That could be wrong. Anyway, the poll question is coming up right after this story. It'll lead right into it. They've been talking about this a lot the last month, and first, I guess I must have been sick the last time I saw this story, so I'm glad they brought it back. Pop versus soda debate rages on. In the South, it's called Coke, even when it's Pepsi. Many in Boston say tonic. I lived in Boston 2 years. I never heard anybody order a soda by saying, I'll have a tonic.
Tonic?
Never heard it. Did you ever hear that?
No, I've heard of pop, but not tonic.
Hey, up here it's pop, eh? Canada, it's pop. Upstate New York, it's pop. In New York City, it's soda. A precious few even ordered a fizzy drink. Did you ever hear of anybody say, oh, I'll have a fizzy drink with my hamburger?
How cute.
Nah, fizzy drink my ass. But the debate between those soft drink synonyms is a linguistic undercard in the nation's carbonated war of words, the real battle, pop versus soda. Up here, it's very big on pop, like over at Pizza, which is the biggest pizza chain in town. Soda and a slice and a pop for like $2.25, whatever. And the big sign, slice and a pop. Order a soda in Michigan or Minnesota, and you're clearly an outsider. In fact, a lot of places, if you order a soda, they think you mean like an ice cream soda. You follow what I'm saying? Have you ever had an ice cream soda?
Yep.
Well, if you say soda, in one of those Yahoo places, they think you're talking about an ice cream soda because they don't refer to it. As for pop in New York City, and you risk being ridiculed or popped in the mouth. Bert Vo, a linguistics professor at Harvard University, says many Americans are overly passionate about how they refer to the popular beverage family. For reasons that are unclear to me, people feel they have a license to attack those who say pop as stupid or illogical. I use Coke because I grew up in Houston, he said. They're not too fond of that around here. However, it's not as stigmatized as saying pop. Well, too bad, eh? We like pop here, and in Rochester it was pop too. The pop-soda-Coke divide has always created vague and usually incorrect assumptions about who says what where, Vo said, but for the first time, Internet technology and 29,000 votes on a website has offered a definition of the debate's borders, and that's going to be our poll today, Eric. That's our poll question. What do you call soft drinks? Here are the choices: Coke, pop, soda, tonic, or I never drink that Schmidt. Pretty good choices, huh? See, we always have to have one for the people like, sourpusses. Oh, I never drink that Schmidt. What do you call soft drinks? Coke, pop, soda, tonic. I don't ever drink that Schmidt. And, there's some people who order a Coke even if they want a Pepsi.
I do.
Well, because, although I do like Pepsi better because it's sweeter. Anyway, the site created 8 years ago. In fact, I like Dr. Pecker better than either one of them, but they don't have them in most places, right?
How about that?
And why not? The site created 8 years ago as a college project asked visitors to enter their child. I feel today like I'm in the old rock music days when we used to have a little reverb in the back, because evidently there's like a pot cracked somewhere, and there's just like a little bit of reverb on there, which is great. I like WABC, baby. Let's get out the old jingles. The site created 8 years ago as a college project asked visitors to enter their childhood zip code and their soft drink term they use. Their vote is then placed on a map as a colored dot. What has emerged is a swath of Coke votes across the South, pop votes in the Midwest and Canada, and soda votes in the Northeast and California, and curiously, soda votes in St. Louis and Milwaukee. Who's winning? It's bottle neck and neck, it says. Pop and soda each have about 11,300 votes. Coke has 4,800 votes. That's nationwide. We'll see what our crowd says. Aside from we'll get to the rest of this in a second. Let's do the break, okay, with some more stale old copy. Copy crisis at QAM, by the way. Copy crisis. Anybody paying attention? That skanky bitch Screwan, she paying attention?
No.
How about Gary Sarner?
No.
Absolutely not. You're a liar, Gary. And the guy who looks just like you in Amsterdam was an asshole. I just mentioned that in passing. Anyway, it's the 926 at 560 WQM, VIPSportsbook.com. That name ought to sound very familiar to you by now because VIP Sportsbook is the only sportsbook, like I've been telling you, to be endorsed by all the industry watchdog groups since 1996. The Casino Times News says you can look, but you just won't find a better overall sportsbook than VIPSportsbook.com. And by the way, Mo, quit sucking up to Hank. You should have learned by now. Won't do you any good. He hates you like poison. But maybe you're looking for more than just a world-class book that offers 24-hour VIP service and the safety of a leader. How about the highest parlay odds anywhere up to 2,000-1, minimum bets of only $5, and free parlay, free withdrawals 24 hours a day. Let me say it again. Free withdrawals 24 hours a day and a 15% cash bonus added to that first deposit. And this isn't some jungle book located in Sweetwater. This is Dutch-based VIPSportsbook.com where they treat you with class and your money is absolutely safe. Sign up online, get you that 15% cash bonus added to your account, or call them at toll-free at 1-866-VIP-BETS. Easy to get started. Just go online, log on to VIPSportsbook.com, and don't forget when you sign cash bonus. VIPSportsbook.com, where you are the VIP.
We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
I like it.
Thank you for calling the football hotline.
Oh, baby, hold me. Oh, yes, that's it. I love your illegal use of hands. Oh, complete a pass to my wide receiver. Oh, yes, fondle my end zone. Spread my goalposts. Oh, that's an illegal procedure. Oh, yeah, touchdown in my tight end. Oh, yes.
932 at 560 WQ. Now, did you vote on here, too, on a poll?
That's me.
Okay, so it's you and me. We both voted for Coke. I haven't said pop in Coon's age because I haven't lived in upstate New York for a very long time. And here, I wouldn't go to a place and say, oh, I'll have a cheeseburger and a pop. I don't know. It just sounds goofy. I don't know. I'll have a diet pop. I'll have a diet tonic. I'll have a diet fizzy drink.
Sounds wrong.
It sounds silly is what it sounds. It says historically the correct term is phosphate, which was defined by soda jerks. Therefore, soda is clearly wrong. Oh, I'll have a vanilla phosphate. Oh, it was great, though. See, you're not old enough, either one of you. Remember back in the good days of well, I guess they still have a few of them around, the soda fountains, you know? They used to be all over the place. And you'd go in and get a cherry Coke, and it would be like, they'd have the real syrup, and they'd mix it with it was great. Now it's all crap out of a bottle. Be aware that soft drink is common in the South, and using pop or soda will get you a very strange look, it says. New Orleans resident Christy Trentacosta, a Coke person, is one of those who might look askance at people who say pop, a term she says is creepy. It's kind of dorky. It's kind of like gee willikers, she said. Yeah, she's right about that. It is, it's hokey, which is why in Canada here we use it. Hey, I'll have a pop, a pop and a slice. Logic has little to do with person's position on the pop soda spectrum, Bo said. A kid hearing pop growing up in Ohio doesn't think, that isn't sufficiently logical for me. I'm not going to use it. They use just whatever they hear. When Alan McConchy was a freshman at the California Institute of Technology in 1993, he broke the ice with new classmates by asking, soda or pop? One web page, almost 30,000 votes later, the computer programmer is now part-time linguist. Florida splits almost right in half between Coke and soda, just like the Bush-Gore thing, they said. We're learning that half of Florida is a southern state, the other half people who moved in from the north. Oh, no kidding.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he says. Well, so there we go. We got the 2 votes on there, and they're both ours, so that poll's going over bigger than Halava. The poll is up, by the way, on NeilRogers.com. Very important stuff today. This might be a little bit more important. U.S. threatens world peace, says Nelson Mandela. One of the world's most... This is from the BBC, I should point out. From BBC News, World Edition. One of the world's most respected statesmen, Nelson Mandela, has condemned the United States intervention in the Middle East as a threat to world peace. In an interview with U.S. magazine Newsweek, published yesterday, the former South African president repeated his call for President George Bush not to launch attacks on Iraq. He said that Mr. Bush was trying to please the American arms and oil industries. And Mr. Mandela, 84, called some of Mr. Bush's senior advisors, including Vice President Dick Cheney, dinosaurs. He said that the U.S. backing for a coup by the Shah of Iran in 1953 had led to the country's Islamic revolution in 1979, which, of course, he's right about that. On Afghanistan, Mr. Mandela said that U.S. support for the Mujahideen, including Osama bin Laden against the Soviet Union, and its refusal to work with the UN after the Soviet withdrawal led to the Taliban taking power, which, again, he's right. If you look at those matters, you'll come to the conclusion that the attitude of the U.S. is a threat to world peace, he said. Mr. Mandela said the U.S. was clearly afraid of losing a vote in the UN Security Council. It's clearly a decision that's motivated by George W. Bush's desire to please the arms and oil industries in the United States of America, he said. He said that no evidence had been presented to support the claim that Iraq possesses weapons of mass destruction, while former UN weapons inspector in Baghdad, Scott Ritter, of questionable veracity, has said there is no such evidence. But what we do know is that Israel has weapons of mass destruction. Nobody mentions that, he said. The former South African leader made it clear that the only member of the Bush team he respects is Colin Powell. He called Mr. Cheney a dinosaur and an arch-conservative who doesn't want Mr. Bush to belong to the modern age. Mr. Mandela recalled that Mr. Cheney had been opposed to his release from prison. Not that he's got a grudge, you understand. He don't hold no grudge. But I think he's got his thumb right on it. Travel lags on a tax anniversary. Oh, now we got 16 votes. Well, how did that happen all of a sudden?
I got 25.
Oh, you're way ahead of me. Well, anyway, travel lags on a tax anniversary. Airports and train stations around the country were much less busy than usual yesterday, as we expected, with many Americans jittery about flying on the anniversary of the terrorist attacks, not to mention, of course, the Orange alert. Airports and train stations around the country were much less busy. Tampa International was virtually empty, eerily similar to 9/11 last year. This is in the St. Pete Times. By the way, the St. Pete Times is by far the best newspaper in the state. Anybody want to argue with me about that?
No.
Elsewhere, 19-year-old Elizabeth Springs, a Navy seaman stationed in Monterey, California, flew Northwest Airlines to attend a memorial service at the Pentagon, but wore civilian clothes to avoid becoming a possible target. Karen Briggs, who flew American from Boston to Long Beach, California on business, said flying on 9/11 brings it all back, the vulnerability we felt that day, that it could happen to anyone, any time. Travelers were given more reason to be nervous after the federal government issued that terror alert and ordered security workers at airports, train stations, and along waterways to be extra vigilant. Extra. And can you believe this?
The next, Bob, I've got to say.
The Pentagon Service for the Unidentified Remains of the Pentagon Attacks, and they're still covering this, and there's the casket with a flag around it, and is this ever going to end?
No.
Jesus Christ, I don't want to sound insensitive, but talk about overkill. Talk about just, man. Jet diverted after strange behavior. We had a little bit on this yesterday. An airliner was diverted to Fort Smith, Arkansas yesterday because 4 passengers behaved strangely on the flight, including at least 3 who locked themselves in a restroom, possibly shaving their body hair. No injuries were reported. I remember the hijackers last year?
Uh-huh.
That was one of the things that they had to do was shave off all their facial hair so that they would, like, blend in and look just like a bunch of punks, and
right.
They did. Federal officials, speaking, of course, on condition of anonymity, because everybody is mum in the world today, because for obvious reasons, said the incident was not to be related to terrorism. Do we necessarily believe those federal officials?
No.
I mean, the idea, first of all, you got 3 guys jammed into a bathroom on the airplane all together, which sounds either like a goddamn gay orgy or else they're cooking up something not so good. KSTP TV in Minneapolis, where Northwest Airlines is based, quoted an unidentified source as saying the 3 men were shaving themselves clean. A source speaking on condition of anonymity told the AP that people aboard the plane gave investigators similar accounts. After last year's terror attacks, documents found in the luggage of attack leader Mohammed Atal gave what appeared to be instructions for the suicide hijackers that previous night shave the extra hair from the body and pray. The men appeared to be of Middle Eastern descent, said Jim Harris, a spokesman for Governor Mike Huckabee. FAA spokesman Scott Brenner said some people were detained by the FBI at Fort Smith, but didn't know how many. The FBI office at Little Rock said the men were taken off the plane, but their whereabouts were unknown. Maybe we sent them off to summer camp because it's still summer till the 21st. The Bush administration had raised the nation's terror alert warning to its second highest level Tuesday, code orange, signaling a high-risk attack on the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Northwest Airlines Flight 979, an Airbus A320 traveling from Memphis to Las Vegas with 94 passengers and a crew of 5, landed at Fort Smith late yesterday morning. No fighter jets were launched to accompany the aircraft. The Northwest pilots decided themselves to land at Fort Smith as a precaution, the airline said in a statement. A little suspicious, wouldn't you say they're inside a toilet shaving together, all 3 of them shaving the body hair?
They were joining the Mile High Club.
Is that what it was?
That's
Maybe they already were high. I'm still hearing that echo in the back, and I'm getting used to it. I like it now. In fact, I hope we have it every day. We have 47 votes. Is that what you got?
Yep.
What do you call soft drinks? Soda 24, Coke 14, I don't ever drink that, Schmidt 6, Pop 2, and Tonic 1. Probably should have put fizzy drink on there, too. Some asshole would say, let me have a diet fizzy drink. Can you imagine going into a restaurant, I mean, even into like Denny's, and saying, I'll have the Grand Slam special and a fizzy drink? I don't think so. Hey, if you love your home but you need more space if you're desperate, here's the answer for you. Here's what you'd be doing. Do what hundreds of other smart people are doing. Call Strictly Additions. Whether you're having a baby, need another room, even if it's a baby you don't want, George. If you're converting a carport or patio into living space, if you've gone into business for yourself and want to make a home office, call Strictly Additions. They're your one-stop shop, more space for your place with an absolutely worry-free approach to expanding your living space. Those no-shows by other contractors will not happen. Incomplete work, no chance when you call Strictly Additions. No unexpected bills, no worries about the job not getting done right, and don't forget they take care of every single last detail. They drop your blueprints. They get the building permits, handle all the inspections. Strictly Additions has got that easy 5-step approach to total customer satisfaction. First, they call to schedule a free project evaluation appointment right at your home, where a project estimator will determine the scope of your addition. Secondly, they'll schedule a bid appointment in their convenient showroom where you'll get a detailed proposal and an exact price for the work. Third, select your finishing touches, go to contract. Fourth, review the design, architectural drawings. And then fifth, sit back on your lazy ass and relax as your dream addition moves ahead on schedule with unbeatable quality. Give Strictly Additions a call today at 954-791-8100. That's 954-791-8100. Check out their ad in the Yellow Pages. They're licensed, they're insured professionals who care about doing stupendous work for you. Be sure and tell them Old Neil told you to call Strictly Additions at 954-791-8100. What did you do, Neil? Oh, look at that. What did I do with that? Do you know?
What'd you do?
I did something.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Dia is sick and needs help badly.
What's that crap they play down the hall?
That's power!
Power 96.
Well, garbage. The kids today don't know what's good. Like that song, I'm happy I live in a split-level head. You remember that? How can you... Listen. I'm happy I live in a split-level head. I'm happy I live in a split-level head. You don't remember that?
No.
No?
Why am I surrounded by morons?
Come on, Howie.
Don't you call me Howie. I've had enough insubordination from you, pal.
No!
Calm down, Linda. You shut up, fatso. Okay, that's it. You're all fired. You fat, stupid boob. You listen to me. You're fired. Guilty that goes for you, too. You know who I am? I'm the king of paradise. I came down here after losing my job to be a big fish in a little pond. When they kicked me off ESPN, they told me don't come back again. I had some problems with wise guys who advised I move to paradise. Florida. Fired. That McNeil ain't no Louis Nye. That guy was funny. You're all fired. And I hope that chick guzzler dies. I hope he dies. I hope you all die. I'm a big fish in a little pond, see? A big fish in a little pond. Is anybody listening to me? I'm a big fish in a little pond, a big fish in a little pond, a big fish in a little pond. Yeah! What is anybody into on me?
945 at 560 WQM. He has problems, you know what? Anyway, 64 votes on our survey. You got 64?
6.
You got 66?
Uh-huh.
How come I'm a little bit in the behind?
You're slow today.
What do you call soft drinks? I got soda 33. What do you got for soda there?
35 for me.
Uh-huh. So like I said, soda 35, Coke 19, I don't ever drink that, Schmidt 6, Pop 4, and tonic 2. Oh, I'll have a tonic. Although I do see, in fact, tonic is something different, to be honest with you, isn't it? Because you'll see, like, tonic water in a supermarket. Tonic water's got sugar in it, I think.
Right, you can have a gin and tonic, for example.
Right. Yeah, tonic water that they use, like, to mix drinks. And that's got sugar in it, man. It's sweet. So, well, of course, so does Coke. What am I talking about? 2 dogs detected a scent of explosives in a van in a 41-story office tower yesterday, forcing the evacuation of the Ohio Supreme Court and state agency orifices, the Ohio State Highway Patrol said. The patrol said a man was in custody. No explosives were found. Scent was detected 3 times by one dog and once by another one, said Patrol Lieutenant Colonel Paul McClellan. The man in custody had told an employee on the 28th floor, "I'm here to install a bomb," McClellan said. The employee had asked the man what he was doing because she thought he looked out of place. The 28th floor houses personnel offices. Troopers took him into custody 1:17 p.m. Authorities didn't identify him or immediately provide any other details. Evacuation was ordered at 2 p.m., completed within about half an hour. About 4,000 state employees work in the building. It wasn't immediately clear how many were affected. He was there to install a bomb. Maybe he said, "I'm here to drop a bomb," like Fat Boy. Maybe she misunderstood. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was looking for the turlet. Always going to be at least one asshole around. They're all over the place, you know. There's probably a talk show caller. Or faxer. Maybe it's the guy with a little squiggly handwriting that got George all bent out of shape yesterday. Hey, George, if you're listening, which I'm sure you're not because you're busy prepping for tonight's big appearance at Treasure Island, don't let those, don't pay any attention. They'll consider the source, and he won't do it. He is the most thin-skinned little spick I've ever seen in my life. He puts on a good veneer, you know. Very thin-skinned. Pennsylvania borough bans gay discrimination. Council members unanimously passed an ordinance in New Hope, Pennsylvania that made New Hope the first small town in Pennsylvania to ban discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. The ordinance approved Tuesday bans discrimination in housing, employment, and public accommodations, very similar to the one that's on the books and is still on the books in Dade County, I should point out, in spite of our good Christian friends, which we'll get to in a minute. Jerry Delvich, the councilwoman who introduced the bill for the ordinance, said New Hope, an eclectic mix of antique stores, boutiques, and restaurants about 30 miles north of Philadelphia, is a popular home for gay men and lesbians. Stacy Sobel, the executive director of the Center for Lesbian and Gay Civil Rights, said she hopes other local governments around the state will pass similar ordinances. The borough of New Hope has set a precedent for tolerance in its community, Sobel said. Let's hear it for New Hope. There you go. Voters keep Miami-Dade's gay rights law. The final margin, by the way, was 53 to 47% when they finally got everything all tallied up. Pretty close, 6 points. The poll, remember we had that poll last week, 20 points? Forget about it, like I told you. Because when they take polls on that, a lot of people lie. Because they know it's not politically correct to go into the voting booth and vote to discriminate, to vote their hate. Now this story, there's two different stories here, and I want you to listen to the difference. Sun-Sentinel. Voters keep Miami-Dade's gay rights law. Miami-Dade's gay rights ordinance withstood a challenge from Christian conservatives as voters rejected a proposal to repeal the law. The county's political and business leaders had pushed for the ordinance's retention, fearing a boycott from gay and liberal groups and the rejection of the region's bid to hold the 2004 Democratic National Convention. That must be why Pinga Pequeña was on board so heavy duty. You know it? Phony little hypocrite. Let's see. Gets the vote. I told you 53 to 47. Like I just said. The measure would have repealed an amendment to the county's human rights ordinance that bans discrimination based on sexual orientation in housing, employment, lending, and public accommodations. Supporters and opponents of the ordinance waited until last night for a final tally of votes as election officials wrangled with technical glitches and other problems that delayed the county's ballot count. Here comes the best part. Miami-Dade County Mayor Alex Pinga Pequeña, an outspoken supporter of the law, said the repeal's defeat reinforced Miami's image as a progressive, world-class city. And here comes the dumbest quote in the history of the human race. All ethnic groups were on the same page on this issue today, Pinella said. There's no room for discrimination of any sort. We're a community of inclusion, and we sent a very strong message. All ethnic groups are on the same page. I guess he must have missed the point that the Hispanic voters voted 63 to 37 to support repeal. Let me say it again, 63 to 37, while the dark folks in Dade County voted 54.5 to 44.5 against repeal, and the non-Latin whites voted 73.7% to 26.3 against repeal. But according to Mayor Pinga Pequeña, who continues pandering until his penis almost falls off, all the ethnic groups are on the same page. Guess what, Mayor? As usual, you're full of crap. Eladio Jose Armesto of Take Back Miami-Dade, a coalition that spearheaded the repeal efforts, said only a rigged vote could have resulted in the victory for the law's supporters and planned to call for an investigation of the matter. The Christian Coalition was one of the coalition's key members. Anti-repeal forces are in control of the mayor's office and the Department of Elections, Armesto said. A similar ordinance was repealed in 1977 after beauty queen and orange juice queen spokesperson Anita Bryant led a successful campaign for its repeal. Gay rights were restored in 1998 after a new ordinance was passed into law, yada, yada, yada. And then you get to the Herald story, which is a whole different tune. By the way, we'll get to Johnny Unitas and, what's her name?
Stella.
Kim Hunter. Come on, you better get with it now that you know who that is, Kim Hunter. You think she's kin to Tab Hunter? I doubt it. That'd be a good poll question. Canis Mas Macho, Tab Hunter or Kim Hunter? And who was doing Tony Perkins? Herald says, narrow victory for gay rights in Dade. The fight to preserve a Dade County law that protects people from discrimination based on their sexual orientation has succeeded, a Herald analyzation of uncounted precincts indicates. They're all counted, by the way, but that's what happens when you got a newspaper. You have to put it to bed like 1 or 2 in the morning. Leaders of No Discrimination/Save Dade, the group leading the fight against repeal effort, claimed victory Wednesday with results available from all but a few precincts. The repeal supporters vowed to mount a petition drive to try again. Anti-repeal leaders took satisfaction in the win, although the margin of victory in Tuesday's referendum vote was less than they hoped and substantially lower than a Herald/NBC6 poll last week predicted. 6 points is still 6 points. It's not chump change in a county this size, said George Mursuli, one of St. O's organizers. Take Back co-chairman Nathaniel Wilcox called the election a travesty and said the group intends to redouble its efforts. The group forced the referendum vote with a late 2000 petition drive that, while successful, triggered a criminal inquiry that recently led to the arrest of 4 group members. Whatever happens, if push comes to shove, we'll start gathering signatures again, Wilcox said. Farbissa Nagoyim is what he's talking about. Just because we're not successful this time around, we're not giving up. We will not be slighted. We're not discouraged. We are emboldened, he be saying. Wilcox said that anti-repeal groups outspent Take Back by a considerable margin, as much as 10-1 campaign finance records show. They spent millions of dollars to defeat our efforts, Wilcox said, as we operate on a shoestring budget, and we did excellent. Wilcox noted the group's initial petition drive early 2000 failed. He said a second referendum could put the repeal movement over the top. Now, where do we get to the part about the, about the ethnic thing? A poll conducted for the Herald and NBC6 last week showed the repeal being defeated by about 20 percentage points, a much wider margin than the apparent 6 percentage point difference on Tuesday. Political analysts say polls on touchy subjects such as gay rights, immigrants, and minority rights often miss the mark. On polls like this, people often give the socially desirable answer and don't want to admit to somebody they don't know that they're a homophobe, said Kevin Hill, a political science professor at FINU. Hill added that support for the anti-repeal cause from business and elected leaders did little to sway voters. Well, who listens to the Beacon Council? What voter cares what they think, he said, about the county's economic development arm. It may show that opinion leaders do not have the same kind of influence over people on personal issues like this. One voting bloc that seemed to respond to Take Back's emotional appeal was Hispanic voters.
Increíble.
Who backed the repeal 63 to 37%, according to a county sample of predominantly Hispanic precincts. And by the way, we want to get the Puerto Ricans and the Nicaraguans and the Colombians and the Hondurans and the Brazilians off the hook. Because, Miguel, I hate to say it while you're sitting there, and of course George was saying yesterday, but it was Cubans, okay? Old Cubans, which we'll get to in a second. The other ethnic groups, blacks and non-Hispanic whites, opposed the repeal. I'll give you the numbers. Here comes another big, fat, silly person. Political consultant Armando Gutierrez said he believes a misinformation campaign targeting elderly Cuban voters kept the balloting close. See, even he admits it. Miguel, you notice, was silent. In my conversations with voters, there was a lot of confusion, he said. They were saying, I cannot allow people of the same sex to get married, and I told them the ordinance wouldn't do this. I believe a lot of the scare tactics worked. How do you like that, huh? So the old Cubans thought it meant, well, the problem is the old Cubans are stupid, is the problem. So I think the way to solve that in the future, from not just this election, every other issue, don't let the old Cubans vote starting on November 5th. Don't you think that's a good idea? Yes. You know the ones we're talking about, the ones who were out there in front of the goddamn Gonzalez house, over there with Lazaro and, what was her name? Morris Greasy Ass? For that crowd. You know the ones we're talking about, the ones that always have the community whipped up into an uproar about crap. Those are the ones. No more voting privilege for them. In fact, if they try to vote on November 5th, they're all going back on a banana boat. All those old Cubans. Bigoted assholes. Maricon, maricon, maricon. How do you like that, huh? Two can play that game. Bugarron. Here's another one for you. Take that. And you notice Miguel is sitting there, he got his thumb in his mouth. 90 votes on a poll. What do you call soft drink? Soda 50. Yeah, I'll have a cheeseburger and a soda, and a diet soda. First of all, when you're in a restaurant, you order like Coke, and they'll say, oh, well, we only have Pepsi. Is that okay? Oh, sure, that's even better. Right?
Or same thing, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll have a large Coke or a small vanilla Coke or a large Coke Classic. Soda 50, Coke 24. I don't ever drink that Schmidt 8. Pop 5. Hey, come on, let's get some Canadians and upstate New Yorkers on there, huh? Only 5. Pop is our middle name in upstate New York. And tonic 3. That would be like asking, what do you call hot dogs? And, of course, like, Texas Hots, Conies. We'll do that like some other day. That's a good one. Wieners. There's a whole bunch of names for hot dogs. Red Hots. White Hots. In fact, why don't you guys call Wayne Arnold? Maybe they'll bring you some.
Good idea.
There you go. See? Leave it to me. Even though I'm sitting here not eating any food during the show, which is another reason the show's improved so dramatically, is I'm not sitting here with a mouthful while I'm on the air. 9:56 at 5:60. Now, when I was in Amsterdam, I might have had a mouthful, but that's a different story, and I did not. I was almost never on here from Amsterdam anyway, was I?
Nope.
How many shows did I do from there? Like one?
One or two, yeah.
Hey, listen, I would much rather have done the shows than be sick most of the time. It was not the most pleasant of summers, okay, with that nasty sinus infarction. Man, what a pain in the ass that was. But thanks to my good friend Dr. Hamp. Thanks, Rimmer. Anyway, let me tell you again about your hair blowing all over the place because it's thin and wispy. In fact, maybe some of you guys only have just a handful of hairs left. You can probably count them. And then, of course, the next day, half of those are gone. Like Boca Brian. You could count his hairs like in 10 seconds. But if you want to get some hair back and look better and younger than you have in a long time, you know the answer. We've been telling you about Charles Alfieri for a very long time on his show because he's the best. He's got the natural hairline system. That's your choice. You can either get yourself some great-looking hair that looks like it's growing out of your scalp, which is what Charlie specializes in, or you can have a mousy-looking thing that looks like a farm animal died right on the top of your head, like Bob Eisenberg. There is one of the... And I hear the rumor has it he's got a new piece. Is that true?
Okay.
That's what I heard. Of course, you probably don't see him. I didn't see him either when I was down there. Bob Eisenberg's got a new piece, and he still looks like a silly ass. So your choice is that. You can either look like him or like Mo, which we don't even want to get into that. Looks like somebody took a bunch of cashmere bouquet and just poured it on top of his piece, on top of a dead rat. But if you want to look sensational, better and younger than you have in years, call Charles Alfieri at this number, toll free, 1-800-321-2413. Mention my name. You'll get $300 extra off the regular price because the summer special is continuing right now. So it's the smart time to get you some hair. 1-800-321-2413. There's no obligation. They'll show you how much better and younger Charlie can make you look, or check it out on their website if you like at charlesalfieri.com.
Live and local. We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Who's asking about Dade County and shit? Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, sweetheart, these times we live in have me frightened. I wish there was a place to go where we could feel safe.
Honey, this might just be the time to move to Bum.
I thought it was in Egypt.
Why, there's a Bum right here in America, dear. East Bum. And let me tell you, there is nothing in Bum that any terrorist would want to attack.
But what about Bum cost? Is it expensive to live in Bum?
Bum is cheap, but we have to act fast if we want to live in Bum, because everyone's going to want to move to Bum very, very soon.
But won't Bum become a target once everyone moves to Bum?
Oh, it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay, Bob. Sounds like Bum for us.
Bum, because the safest place to be right now is out in the middle of Bum.
10:02 at 560 WQAM. Deaths usually come in threes. We were discussing that before the show this morning. For some strange reason, deaths of famous celebrities come in threes, and we got two now from yesterday. Two very tragic stories. I wonder who the third one's going to be.
Forget about it.
Okay. Hall of Fame quarterback John Unitas dies of heart attack at 69.
Oi!
Johnny Unitas, the Hall of Fame quarterback who broke nearly every NFL passing record and won 3 championships with the Baltimore Colts in an 18-year career, died yesterday at the age of 69. Unitas died of a heart attack. Baltimore Ravens spokesman Chad Steele said. Steele had no other details. Unitas underwent emergency triple bypass surgery in March 93 after a heart attack. Do you think that might have had something to do with it?
Could be.
Johnny U, with his trademark crew cut and black high tops, was the first to throw for 40,000 yards and now ranks 7th, surpassed by a group of quarterbacks who played after him with rules that make passing easier. Like Tom Brady. Now, he's not past him yet. How about those Patriots, baby? Oh! And I notice nobody on this station still wants to give them any credit. They still don't believe. I believe. I got that Sports Illustrated right over here. I look at it and I believe. Unitas retired in 1973 season with 22 NFL records, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. He'll be always a legendary name in the NFL history, League Commissioner Paul Tagliabue said. One of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, he epitomized the position with his leadership skills and his ability to perform under pressure. On the NFL's 50th anniversary in 1969, Unitas was voted the greatest quarterback of all time. He was also selected a quarterback for the NFL's all-time team in 2000 by 36 Pro Football Hall of Fame voters. It goes on for like pages and pages. Am I going to read it? No, he's dead. Johnny Unitas is dead. There's one. Number 2, Kim Hunter, who won Oscar for the role of Stella in A Streetcar Named Desire, dies at 79. Kim Hunter, who won a supporting Oscar in 1951 as the long-suffering Stella in A Streetcar Named Desire and appeared in 3 Planet of the Apes movies, died Wednesday. She was 79. Hunter apparently suffered a heart attack in her Greenwich Village apartment, said her daughter, Catherine Emmett. The actress enjoyed a long and busy career in theater, but less in films, partly because she was blacklisted during the red hunting, the red baiting 1950s, the ugly McCarthy era. Kim Hunter was a fine actress and a wonderful person, said actor Charlton Heston, who co-starred in Planet of the Apes, The World Has Lost a Unique Talent. Well, at least he can remember who she was.
I was going to say, he remembered?
I think that's a positive thing.
You son of a bitch.
A Streetcar Named Desire was the highlight of Hunter's career. The play was a cast with Marlon Brando as Stanley Kowalski, Carl Malden as Mitch. I'll tell you, Carl Malden's a good actor. Is he still alive?
I believe so.
He's still alive. Good actor. He was in All Fall Down, Streets of San Francisco. He was Mitch in Streetcar Named Desire, which I just said. And Jessica Tandy is the tragic Blanche Dubois. Director Elia Kazan admitted in his autobiography, A Life, that he had trouble casting Stella because I enjoy looking at girls, he said. He added of Hunter, the minute I saw her, I was attracted to her, which is the best possible reaction when you're casting young women. Brando, Malden, and Hunter played their roles in the somewhat sanitized film version. Hunter, Malden, and Vivian Leigh as Blanche won Academy Awards. Despite his unforgettable performance, Brando did not. I wonder if he would have sent that little Indian girl up there to get it if he would have won it. Hunter told the New Orleans Times-Picayune in 1999 that after she left Streetcar, she tried to avoid seeing the play with other casts. It's simply that I have no objectivity about it, she said. It was so much a part of my life it would be unfair to the productions and the performers. Hunter's subsequent films were few, and they lacked the luster of Streetcar. Among them, Deadline USA, his newspaper editor Humphrey Bogart's estranged wife. Remember that?
No.
Never heard of it. Anything Can Happen is Russian immigrant Jose Ferrer's wife. Remember that one?
No.
Neither do I. Storm Center, a minor film starring Betty Davis. Of course you know that.
No.
Never heard of it. And Young Stranger and Bermuda Fair. I never heard of any of those, so. She was a good actress, though, Kim Hunter. She was okay in our book, and now she's dead. Speaking of depressing things, Howard Kurtz. I generally can't stand Howard Kurtz. He's always on CNN every Sunday on that awful show. What's the name of that show where they supposedly rip the media? I don't know what the name is. I can never remember the name of the show, and I don't want to know the name of the show because it's a bad show. And they pretend that they're, like, self-analyzing the media, and they're full of crap. And he also wrote that ass-sucking book about the stock market in which he licked Jim Cramer's butthole about 8,000 times. God. Jim Cramer doesn't belong on the air just to say hello and goodbye, who's a madman, which shows you that the gambling channel is totally irresponsible. And so far this morning, before Greenspan opens up his big ugly puss, markets take another precipitous crap. Television marks somber anniversary, writes Howard Kurtz in the Washington Post. And like I said, I think he's usually full of crap, but I happen to think this is a pretty good article. He says it was a day that will keep living in infamy thanks to television. And now they're at the UN. There's some Jews from Israel. The smoke, the sirens, the twisted steel, the soot-covered masses running in terror. We saw them all again today on every network at almost every hour. Indeed, we had no choice. And you are...
Absolutely correct, sir.
Absolutely. Man, even a goddamn comedy channel, they were doing it. There was a touching moment of silence at 8:46 a.m., the first moment of impact of the Twin Towers, but no other silence on the air during the day-long remembrance of tragedy packaged and narrated by America's anchors. They were in charge of setting the emotional tone just like a year ago. It was a quiet, somber, respectful tone, even as they replayed their own words during those hours of death and destruction, even as they orchestrated the instant replay horror like an endless Zapruder film, not one suspects for the last time. 9/11 Redux was a moment both made for television and larger than television, as Rudy Giuliani began reading the names of the deceased to the strains of Yo-Yo Ma's cello. You know Yo-Yo Ma?
Yo-Yo who?
Yo-Yo Ma's cello, a long, slow cadence continued by others through the A's and B's. Television was forced to stop. There was no theme music, no anchor chat, no hopscotching to far-flung locales. What would ordinarily be deemed too dull for broadcast could not be abandoned in mid-sentence. Agile cameramen captured shots of crying relatives in the crowd in case anyone was missing the point. And by the way, you'll notice, which everybody's always noticed, the one thing television news likes more than anything else is catching people crying. Am I right?
Very symbolic.
They're obsessed with that. I'm not talking about actors. I'm talking about like real life people crying, and they keep the camera on like for an embarrassing length of time, and just it's tragic. Journalistic convention of the day ruled the day from the moment the morning shows had the Trade Center collapsing and the Pentagon smoldering because, quite simply, you use your most dramatic footage on television. Even if we've all seen it 1,000 times and countless times more in our heads, even if it still has the power to sear 365 days later. How tough is this day for you, Dan Rather, asked Christy Fearer, who lost her husband in the Lower Manhattan carnage. It's a time to heal, she said now. The victims and survivors were everywhere. Diane Sawyer held Jill Gartenberg's baby as she recalled her husband's last words. The obligatory wedding picture was shown. Assorted officials made the electronic rounds. Giuliani on ABC, Michael Bloomberg on CBS, New York Fire Chief Nicholas Scoppetta on CNN, then Giuliani on CNN, Bloomberg on Fox News, Scoppetta on MSNBC. Lincoln, Churchill, and Twain were quoted. Tim Russert said George Bush had to be the healer-in-chief. A small orange box at the screen's bottom reminded us of the high terror alert, now as much a fact of life as the temperature or the Dow. There were no commercials, thankfully. ABC handled the moment of silence deftly as its camera switching from New York to Washington to London to Afghanistan. ABC also showed the most disaster footage as it aired a minute-by-minute reconstruction of destruction. Fox attempted to justify its own reprise of the pictures. We do not air them lightly, anchor John Scott said. We feel it's important for this nation to remember why we're at war, as if anyone could have forgotten. As if the most hidebound cave dweller needed the media's help to recall what happened on 9/11, as if we all haven't been reminded every day since then. Soon television was engaged in a split-screen morning, zipping from Ground Zero to Arlington to the crash site in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. When Defense Secretary Rumsfeld spoke at the Pentagon, NBC was the only network to blow him off as Katie Couric interviewed an American soldier in Afghanistan, and on the right half of the screen his wife and darling little girl, as Couric put it, in Boston. We now go back to the Pentagon, where another somber ceremony is taking place, Couric said, but Matt Lauer talked over Rumsfeld, and NBC quickly switched back to Ground Zero, where relatives were laying flags and flowers on the hallowed ground. ABC and CNN also focused on New York, where young Brittany Clark was remembering her father, while CBS, MSNBC, and Fox struck with Rumsfeld. Jarringly, the remembrances seemed to compete with each other. Just after 10 a.m., CNN was covering the ringing bells in Shanksville to commemorate those who battled the hijackers on Flight 93 when it had to switch to the Pentagon for President Bush's speech on those who were killed because they were Americans. Once the president had finished, the talking heads took back to the airwaves. While CNN and MSNBC went back to Pennsylvania for a Tom Ridge speech, Tom Brokaw, Quirk, and Lauer held forth on NBC, Peter Jennings and George Stepp on Top of Us on ABC, and Rather and Bob Schieffer on CBS. Somehow the coverage was taking on the familiar media babble feel of a political convention or inauguration. At one point, a sergeant major stationed at the Pentagon told CBS that it was like being in hell, a feeling we could all share today, says Howard Kurtz. Nice going there, Howard. A feeling we could all share today. Oh, brother. Thank God the media doesn't overdo things, you know what? Boy, oh, boy. And then Tom Jickers, which we'll get to after the break. Little Tommy Jickers got a column. He even added that to his cooking show schedule today. Let's hear it for Tommy.
Oh.
Working heavy duty, baby. 2 articles today and a cooking show schedule for little Tom Jickers, the Sun Sentinel. Is he doing it or what?
No.
136 votes on our soda poll. What do you call soft drinks? And I see some people would say, well, gee, this isn't a very intellectual vote. Of course not. We need to lighten up a little bit, okay? And what's wrong with a goddamn soda or a pop anyway, huh? And if you don't like it, we'll give you a pop. Soda 81, Coke 31. Boy, it's not even close, is it? And you want to know why that is?
Why is that?
Because we have an enormous number of people from the Northeast, as you know, from New York, Boston, whatever, in South Florida, right?
Yep.
And they say soda. All of them, each and every one, except, of course, for the people in Boston who call it a tonic, which I never met one of those, thankfully. Coke 31, I don't ever drink that, Schmidt 14, Pop 7, and tonic only 3. And I think those 3 are probably just funning us, don't you think?
They can't really say tonic.
Yeah. I mean, I would even say fizzy drink before I'd say tonic. Tonic sounds like something you take like a barium enema, with a tonic, right? Rhymes with colonic, tonic. Stick some tonic in your colonic and, man, clean out your rectum like crazy. 12 minutes after 10 at 560 WQAM. Let me tell you where to stick your butt, and that's on a great new mattress from Dial a Mattress. That's the way to do it. I've been telling you for a very long time. How's Fat Boy doing? Is he going to send me any new copy this year? No, he's too busy stuck in the toilet. He's locked in there. He tried wheeling his way back in there in the handicapped thing. He can't get out. Just stuck in there. Anyway, if you want a great new mattress when the old one is not doing a good job on you and your back, call 1-800-MATTRESS because Dial a Mattress are the people who give you a better deal all the way around. First of all, you don't have to leave your house. You just make that one easy call and talk to people who know their craft. Secondly, they give you like a phenomenal deal as far as price, exceptionally low everyday prices, and selection, they got them all. They got the top brands in the world, Serta, Sealy, Simmons, King Coil, and because they got the deepest selection, they always got the one you want in stock, ready for immediate delivery. They got the best deal going on delivery, any 2-hour window that's convenient for you when you're going to be there, 11 to 1, noon to 2, 2 to 4, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, you got it, you're starting to catch on, and that 30-day in-home comfort guarantee. And by the way, delivery is any day of the week, 7 days a week. So if you want to get you a great new mattress that's going to last you and give you a great night's sleep for years to come, pick up that phone, just make one easy call to Dial a Mattress. That's what I do. Call 1-800-MATTRESS, 1-800-MATTRESS, or check them out on the web at mattress.com.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560. QAM.
Holy Mackinac! This is Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you're listening to the Hockey Authority, Neil God.
Alvin, are you okay in there? Wow, I was trying to take my morning pee and felt like I was on fire. Woo-wee! Uh-oh, sounds like you might have an STD. STP? You mean I'm peeing motor oil? No, an STD. You know, a sexually transmitted disease. I bet you got it from that stinky chipmunk who hangs out on the corner. Alvin, did you forget to wrap that rascal? But we only did it once. That's all it takes, you big stud. Now you have to go to the doctor for some medicine. Wow, looks like I learned a valuable lesson today. When your thing is killing, take some penicillin. Then it won't burn when I pee.
All right. 1017 at 560 WQM. Even the chipmunks have got problems, you notice?
Nobody's safe.
I beg your pardon?
Nobody's safe.
Oh, and can I ask you this question because I'm watching Kofi Annan, the UN, and I'm wondering, is Shimon Peres kin to Tony Perez, you think? There's Kofi.
In the world that all Iraq's weapons of mass destruction.
He wants those inspectors back in there. Now, El Presidente is going to be speaking today, and I have no idea what time that is, but I'm afraid it may be dangerously soon. Do you think we ought to, put some of that on when he speaks?
Yeah, why not?
We'll play it by ear. Yeah, you want to hear it because you're a bush licker, okay? You're not fooling any of us. We know how you voted on that referendum on Tuesday. You're not fooling us. Maricon, maricon. See, this is another guy. He sucks up because he's making a big bucks on his show. Now, what's this story? Let me ask you this question. You're replacing George in there today because George is out sick. Are you going to get paid for this?
No.
What kind of a racket have they got going on in that goddamn place anyway? What are you, like some kind of a puppet on a string?
Well, I'm here for George. Give him a day off.
Oh, I see. In other words, you're doing it for your buddy because then he'll let you do it Treasure Island tonight. Maybe he'll get you in with the Zoe Britton.
Zoe, yeah.
Is that her name, Zoe?
Well, yeah, girls are Zoe, Z-O-E. Zoe is like Zoe, like Alonzo.
Yeah. Well, maybe she looks like Alonzo. Maybe she's got a very large penis.
Could be.
I guess you'll find out tonight at the Treasure Island. Oh! Don't forget, Miguel and George and Boca Brian and a bunch of other very desperate guys are going to, well, I guess you're not desperate. We'll be there 5 to 7 tonight, Treasure Island. Just off the Palmetto, north of the 122nd Street exit, we'll have our usual crappy QM prizes and Budweiser specials. And Zoe Britton. Well, why didn't you correct me on that the first time I read it?
Whatever.
You were just gonna sit there and let me read it wrong all day long. In addition to which, nobody calls anybody Zoe. You know, if Alonzo is their first name, they're called like Zoe, I guess. Like Alonzo, you're so big, et cetera, and so on. And we don't want to make because he's got that kidney thing, you know. We don't want to make fun of him. Isn't that in bad taste?
Yeah, watch out with Zoe.
Boy, the future is scary, writes Big Arnie, one of our most chronic factors of all time. He says as Jews become smaller and smaller percentages of the population because it's the liberal Jews that help keep freedom for minorities in our society, and also they help keep a lack of censorship in the media. Whether or not people believe in the non-existent God, the Jews as a race of people are the most prominent liberals keeping this country from these crazy thinking nuts like the Christian Coalition. And by the way, Jappy New Year, Arnie. Whatever you say. Now, here's Tom Jicka's thing. I knew we'd get to it. I bet she's got that radio cranked up so loud he's getting vibrations from it. You know, Tom, who doesn't like the way that this show... You know, Tom, you're entitled to your opinion. If you don't like the way the show is now, that's fine. You don't have to listen. Listen to Lardass at noon. He's right up your alley. Listen to, what's his name, Bill O'Donnell? O'Reilly? I like Bill O'Donnell better. You know Bill O'Donnell, the Magic Man? Let's start doing harness racing names. Elmer Conrad. Time on their hands to fill, writes Tom Jicka in today's Sun Sentinel, along with a cooking show schedule is in there, too. The first anniversary of 9/11 brought more of TV's finest hours. Unfortunately, only 2 or 3 were in Wednesday's marathon coverage, which began before dawn and extended past midnight. And by the way, we're still going on this morning, Tom. The medium's unparalleled ability to bring the nation together was reiterated by the stirring images transmitted from morning ceremonies in Lower Manhattan, at the Pentagon, and the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where Flight 93 dove to its death. The aspect of the commemorations with the greatest potential for tedium, the 3-hour recitation of those who died at the World Trade Center, produced moving scenes which will live forever with those who witnessed them. Historian Doris Kearns Goodwin on NBC noted that as staggering as the death toll was, the litany was a reminder that each victim was not just an individual loss, but a source of overwhelming sorrow for everyone who knew and loved them. Many survivors were seen sobbing as they walked down the 7-story ramp to Ground Zero, where they placed a flower in a circle of honor. Some knelt in the wind-whipped dirt to scoop up soil. For many, it was a substitute for the remains of loved ones whose bodies will never be recovered. ABC's Peter Jennings occasionally interjected personal details of those who lost their lives at their workplace or tried to save the lives of others. WPLG Channel 10 split the screen between the ABC feed and locally generated shots of ceremonies in South Florida, including an assembly at Fort Lauderdale's Lockhart Stadium. Alas, the biggest public wake in the nation's history, as CNN's Bill Hemmer dubbed today, was essentially over by noon, which left the networks 8 hours to vamp until the evening event, capped by an address to the nation by President Bush. Instant history gave way to mawkish reminiscences and unproductive finger-pointing and monotonous rehashes. Predictably, the networks couldn't resist filling time with some of the most disturbing footage from last 9/11. ABC was the most frequent offender, but every network found a backdoor way to justify reusing tape all had promised they would use with great discretion. ABC went a step beyond, exhibiting still shots of Trade Center workers leaping to their deaths, images that for the most part the public had been mercifully spared. You know, my luck, I happened to be channel surfing at that time, just when they put that crap on last night, and I sat there with my mouth agape. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, why are they showing this? Did you see them?
No, fortunately I missed that.
The pictures of the people, I mean, we've seen the moving pictures of people jumping out of the buildings, but they showed the freeze-frame still shots, and were just sick, really sick. And they showed like a whole series until I don't know, they may still be showing them for all I know because I finally moved on. There was so much time to fill in so little compelling material to do it, says Tommy, that video librarians must have been the busiest people at the networks. Nevertheless, these rehashes were more compelling than the town meeting, a cavalcade of talking heads saying nothing fronted by NBC's Tom Brokaw. The Seinfeld gang had a celebrated buzz phrase which perfectly described the lumbering 3 hours, yada, yada, yada. It was a welcome respite when local channels butted in several times for updates on the latest election fiasco in South Florida and a violent storm which was menacing Broward County. The latter proved to be a false alarm, but it still amounted to the closest thing to anything significant on the air all afternoon. Writes Tom Jecker. Not bad, Tom. Not bad. Keep working on it. You'll get there. Not as good as the Howard Kurtz column, but then again, he writes for the Washington Post, not the Florida Sun-Sentinel. Get on with it, writes Christina Blizzard in the Toronto Sun. They're writing some pretty heavy-duty stuff up here, and you notice I'm not using most of it? That article from the Toronto Star I read a few days ago, that was excellent, magnificent. Did you hear that? Of course not. You weren't listening to that crap. Nope. You were in the back room doing Doreen, no doubt. Get on with it. Well, not that. Mourning, that's with a U. Mourning, and maybe she's talking about Alonzo Mourning. Should be private, not beamed to the world on CNN, she says. What an excellent point. What more can one person write about today that hasn't already been said about that awful morning a year ago when planes brought down the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, slammed into the Pentagon, and crashed into a field in Pennsylvania? We've lived and relived those ghastly images. We've read the poignant stories of so many people cut down in the prime of their lives, and of course we should all pause to pay our respects to innocent victims of those dreadful acts. But after today, we need to move on, says Christina. Over the past year, we've seen an orgy of grief, and rightly so. With so many taken so brutally, I guess we all needed time to reflect on our collective loss. Frankly, though, some of the memorials are becoming mawkish and embarrassingly tacky that I feel sorry for the families of the victims. How can they mourn and come to terms with their grief when we expect them to carry the rest of the world along with them? Public tributes have been so frequent, so inappropriate, and so maudlin that they only serve to open still raw wounds. I feel for those people. Not only must they cope with their losses, they have to somehow, through their grief, comfort the broader population as they come to grips with what happened. Mourning is no longer a private thing. It must be done in front of the world on CNN. I'm not sure if it's just the U.S. is a young nation or if it's simply that the ever-present TV cameras have changed the way we mourn, but it seems to me that grief these days is expressed far differently than it once was. And this is not necessarily a good thing. I suspect it's TV that has changed everything. In Britain, for example, when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, the BBC pulled all programming and ran only an image of a globe turning to funeral music. Now they'd run endless replays on CNN. But how much comfort or spiritual healing do you get from a daily dose of TV-driven hysteria? It seems to me the Brits had the most meaningful response after 9/11. The Queen ordered the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner outside Buckingham Palace the day after the attacks, not just to comfort American tourists stranded in London, but as a gesture of solidarity and defiance in the face of tragedy. And it seems to me this is what's been lacking in the American response. There's no stiff upper lip. Oh, sure, if you drive south, you'll see plenty of bumper sticker outrage and flag waving, but you shouldn't confuse jingoism with the kind of steely determination you saw in the 2 world wars. My parents lived through the London Blitz for 3 years along with millions of others. They spent nights huddling in air raid shelters as wave after wave of bombers devastated the city. As a London police officer, my dad used to have to go out in the blackout. Every day the city would awake to new devastation, yet Londoners didn't panic. Of course, they had strong leadership. Not only did Winston Churchill's oratory get them through, the King and Queen's stoic support for working people gave them courage. Can Jean Chrétien and George Bush come anywhere close? It's the same kind of strength you see from that generation of Canadians who served overseas in the war, came home, and said very little of what they had done. One man I know spent months in a German prisoner of war camp and almost starved to death on a forced march. Another widow told me about her merchant marine husband who ran convoys in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, torpedoed 3 times. It wasn't something he talked about. You came home, you got on with it, and you coped without grief counselors, because back then that was the way it was. In Israel, every day, it seems, cafes are blown to bits by suicide bombers, yet Israelis continue to go about their daily lives in defiance of the terrorists. One of the oddest incidents over the past year was the bid to carry the Ground Zero Stars and Stripes flag into the Olympic Stadium. I couldn't help wondering why you'd want to carry a symbol of destruction for all the world to see. That flag belongs to the past. It should be in the Smithsonian as a reminder of those dreadful events. An American should carry the biggest, proudest flag they can find at international events to show you can't keep a great nation down. So let's mark the anniversary today with solemn reflection and with heartfelt sympathies for those whose lives were ripped apart by the attacks. But as a society, America must move on before it becomes paralyzed by self-pity. Good column by Christina Blizzard in the Toronto Sun, eh?
Oh, God.
10:27 at 560. WQM. How is Todd Dreck doing? I haven't seen him in a while. Is he still the same asshole?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. That's the report we're hearing up here in Toronto. Todd Dreck, same asshole. Let me tell you, if you want to get out of a dead-end job and start making some real big bucks like Todd is making, and we have no idea why he's making it, get yourself a great job. And, of course, the way to do that is become a computer professional. How do you do that? Well, you find a good school that'll help you do it. There's only one that's got 4 convenient locations all over Dade and Broward, and that, of course, new one in Kendall included. There's one school that's got certified Microsoft instructors, convenient day, evening, and weekend classes. One school that's got full-time job placement department with over 30 years' experience. When you go to Fast Train, you can complete your program, get certified in just 4 short months. Hands-on training we're talking about. And like I said, it's Fast Train. That's the school you ought to need to be getting with. You've heard us talk about them for a long time, so today, if you want to get you a real career and start making a paycheck that's worth talking about, get off your butt, pick up that phone and call Fast Train. Be sure and tell them Todd Dreck recommended that you call 1-866-FAST-TRAIN. That's 1-866-FAST-TRAIN, or check them out on that wicked World Wide Web at fasttrain.com.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560. QAM.
Come on in and lay down on my couch.
The following commercial was childishly edited from its original form into our own perverted version. Any reassembly of an actual commercial by this program is purely adolescent and in no way affiliated with the advertiser. But it does make us laugh.
What's in your ice cream?
Power for BB-80. It smells like poopy.
Now check out Breyers in the black pack.
Milk, sugar, cream, and natural vanilla.
Breyers ice cream. It's only natural.
It made me throw up.
Oh, you know what I forgot to mention again after that last promo?
Pimple is a gyro skill. Oh!
Yeah, I forgot to keep reminding that to the audience. Another cream puff, another walkover. Pretty soon they're going to start playing high school teams. Look at this, we scored 400 points this week. We're number one, baby. Anyway, it makes the people feel better. You know, they can't do an election right, but they sure got some good football teams. So here's a fax from Larry, who says the Catholic movie board was called the Legion of Decency. You're correct, Larry. Kit Carson Western show from the 50s. The actor, name unknown to me, married Della Street from the Perry Mason show, and their kid played the part of hero. Yeah, their kid was William Catt. Remember the Greatest American Hero?
Mm-hmm.
Blonde-headed William Catt. And Kit Carson, well, I guess somebody could look that up on the Internet, right? Maybe Ugly Chuck could look that up. Kit Carson Western show? You think?
He's working on it.
I'm sure he is. Is he going to give me that information about getting rid of the spam, by the way? Because I can't get that. I can't get it up.
He'll get it to you.
No, seriously. He gave me the name of the thing, and I checked it out, and I tried to AdAware, and I tried to download it, and it wouldn't it wouldn't download.
I've got a whole bunch of sites here listed. I'll get them
Excellent.
back to you fast.
Okay. Also, it says on Election Day, close government offices and close government offices and use that workforce to carry out the election process. Well, that's not a bad idea. It should be a national holiday. I mean, the idea that we have elections, we're always bitching and bellyaching about the fact that not enough people vote, and then they get there and they have to wait like 2 hours and they still can't vote, and then a bunch of 400-year-old assholes have no idea what the hell they're doing, and they give them the wrong ballots, and this is a goddamn country where we really want to have, we don't want to have people vote. We don't want to have a lot of people vote. In fact, the fewer number of people can vote, then the easier it is to control and find a few dead people to get the outcome you're looking for. This next story is so important that looking through my stack here, through my piles, I realized that I printed this out twice. And once you hear it, you'll understand why, okay? Maybe it has significant meaning to me. London. Scientists in the U.S. have come up with news that may help millions of men. They've succeeded in growing major parts of penises in the laboratory. The headline on this is Research Holds Hope for Genitally Challenged Men. The test tube penile parts were successfully used to rebuild the members of rabbits who, after rest and recuperation, put them to the use that rabbits are famous for. They were able to copulate, penetrate, and produce sperm, Anthony Atala, whose team at Harvard Medical School carried out the experiments, he told New Scientist magazine. He said the researchers were now trying to grow entire penises in a test tube. Oh, my God. What's that in that test tube? It's a penis. But he also said the technique was in an early stage. It would be a while before the technique was tried with human tissue. I wonder if Janet's got one of those. The scientists had only been successful in growing the erectile tissues of rabbit penises, not the entire organ. In all cases, the erect member had been reduced firmness of a 60-year-old against that of a more virile 30-year-old. The reduced firmness of a 60-year-old. Well, I got news for you, Mr. Rabbit, okay? I got a real surprise for you, sweetheart. And it's about the size you can relate to. I would say that I have, kind of like a rabbit penis. People smuggled via Air Canada travel. All my friends at Air Canada, you're not going to be too happy with this story. And it's from the Toronto Star, so it's not some propaganda from some other foreign country. This has been going on for years at Heathrow Airport, they say. London. A British airport security officer charged with smuggling people on Air Canada flights to Canada said the practice is widespread and has been going on at Heathrow Airport for years. Ever been at Heathrow in London? It's a dump. It is a real dump. And the other problem is, you know what the other thing is? Too many Brits there. Anthony Krieger, a supervisor at the security firm employed by Air Canada at Heathrow, testified at his trial yesterday that he was part of a ring that let people aboard Air Canada flights with fake or stolen passports from 1998 to May 2001 when he was arrested. And, of course, now's a great time for it, too, isn't it? This has always been going on, Krieger told a court in the London suburb. Unless the government spends a hell of a lot of money on security at the airport, it would be impossible to stop it. Krieger's testimony raises serious questions about security at one of the world's busiest and dumpiest airports, especially in the wake of the terrorist attacks last year. Detective Inspector Mark Pepper, no relation to Claude, senior investigating officer for Scotland Yard's human smuggling unit at Heathrow, estimated in an interview that hundreds likely boarded Canada-bound flights illegally by using the smuggling ring Krieger worked for. Hundreds. Once in Canada, the passengers would apply for refugee status. Despite the arrest of Krieger and 2 others who worked in his security firm, there is no evidence the smuggling ring has been disbanded. Krieger, 38, said the group preferred smuggling people on Air Canada flights bound for Montreal and Vancouver. Toronto, he said, was generally avoided. Well, thank goodness for that. We got enough foreigners here already. The setup of Pearson Airport's international terminal made it too easy for Canadian immigration officials to determine that the illegal immigrants arrived on Air Canada flights from London, he said. So at least they're doing a good job here at Pearson. Hey, that's another dump, but we're building a new one. So Joe told you he had a great time up here, huh?
Yep.
Joe Costello and his 2 buddies had a great time here in Toronto, eh? I steered him right. Air Canada would then be fined for carrying the illegal passengers, raising suspicions that could have jeopardized the London smuggling operation, Krieger said, if they would have come to Toronto, in other words, and got caught. In Montreal, the illegal immigrants could wait instead in the terminal for hours and mingle with passengers that arrived from around the world. Before requesting political asylum, they destroyed all identity documents and ticket stubs, making it difficult for Canadian officials to know where the hell they came from, Krieger said. But Air Canada caught on nonetheless. Nice going, Air Canada.
Oh!
Better late than ever, sweethearts. The airline took its suspicions to Heathrow Airport. I guess I better mention my friend Helen, right? Because she'll get upset if I don't. How you doing, Helen, eh? The airline took its suspicions to Heathrow's authorities, who opened an investigation that led to the arrest of Krieger and 2 of his colleagues, Faiz Alam Rahman, 28, and Pritash Vaja, 22. Those are just the kind of people you want to have smuggling illegal folks into the Western Hemisphere, right? Not. All 3 worked for Initial Aviation Security, a private security firm that continues to be employed by Air Canada to check passports before boarding and guard planes at Heathrow. All 3 have pleaded guilty to charges of conspiracy, committing corruption by accepting bribes to smuggle people. Krieger is suspected of helping to smuggle up to 48 people, including Algerians, Iraqis, Afghans, Pakistanis, and Sri Lankans on Air Canada flights from London between July 2000 and May 2001. He admits to having smuggled more than 16 people, most of them of Indian nationality. The rest, he said, likely boarded Air Canada flights due to mistakes made by inexperienced employees of Initial Aviation Security.
He's on, by the way.
Who's that? Oh, the president.
Of our world.
Can you believe I reacted by saying the president?
Yesterday we remembered the innocent lives taken that terrible morning. Today we turn to the urgent duty of protecting other lives without illusion and without fear. We've accomplished much in the last year. In Afghanistan and beyond. We have much yet to do.
Oh, there's Hamid Karzai, and he's still alive, by the way.
In Afghanistan and beyond. Many nations represented here have joined in the fight against global terror, and the people of the United States are grateful. The United Nations was born in the hope that survived a world war, the hope of a world moving toward justice, escaping old patterns of
there's
conflict
Jack Straw from the UK.
And fear.
That's the last straw. Okay, we got to do a break, Georgie. So don't do any good stuff while we do the break, and then get to the important stuff like we're going to blow up Iraq when we come back. Georgie. Not you, Georgie Bush. Did you think I was talking to you?
Yeah. So did
Chuck. You better start saying, you talking to me? Hey, let me tell you one place we're talking about. See, you're taking up time now that the president could be speaking.
Our deliberations would be more than talk.
See? Anyway, more than talk at Brandy's, they really deliver what they promise, because they got phenomenal selection of great name brand shoes at everyday unbeatable prices. That's what made Brandy so famous, is how can they sell these great names at such low prices? Well, they've been doing it. That's why everybody loves shopping there. The people there know your feet inside and out, and they'll hook you up with exactly the kind of shoes you love. Rockports, SAS, Sperry's, Timberland, Naturalizer, and lots more. They got them all, and like I said, always at unbeatable prices, and exactly the size you're looking for, too, just about always in stock at Brandy Shoes. They're open daily 9 to 9, Sundays 10 till 5, and you'll find Brandy's in the same great location they've been doing people's feet right for years at 1290 North Federal Highway in Pompano Beach. And right now it's a final summer clearance closeout sale for a select group of famous brands at up to 73% savings only at Brandy Shoes in Pompano Beach.
Live and local. This is 560. The radio's all yours now. QAM.
To continue their march to seize other countries and their resources.
He's going after Iraq now, baby.
Had Saddam Hussein been appeased instead
Strap
of
yourselves
stopped,
in.
he would have endangered the peace and stability of the world. Yet this aggression was stopped by the might of coalition forces and the will of the United Nations. To suspend hostilities, to spare himself, Iraq's dictator accepted a series of commitments. The terms were clear to him and to all. And he agreed to prove he is complying with every one of those obligations. He has proven instead only his contempt for the United Nations and for all his pledges. By breaking every pledge, by his deceptions and by his cruelties, Saddam Hussein has made the case against himself. In 1991, Security Council Resolution 688 demanded that the Iraqi regime cease at once the repression of its own people, including the systematic repression of minorities, which the Council said threatened international peace and security in the region. This demand goes ignored. Last year, the UN Commission on Human Rights found that Iraq continues to commit extremely grave violations of human rights and that the regime's repression is all-pervasive. Tens of thousands of political opponents and ordinary citizens have been subjected to arbitrary arrest and imprisonment, summary execution, and torture by beating and burning, electric shock, starvation, mutilation, and rape.
Oi!
Wives are tortured in front of their husbands, children in the presence of their parents, and all of these horrors concealed from the world by the apparatus of a totalitarian state. In 1991, the UN Security Council, through resolutions 686 and 687, demanded that Iraq return all prisoners from Kuwait and other lands. Iraq's regime agreed. It broke this promise. Last year, the Secretary General's high-level coordinator for this issue reported that Kuwaiti, Saudi, Indian, Syrian, Lebanese, Iranian, Egyptian, Bahraini, and Omani nationals remain unaccounted for. More than 600 people. One American pilot is among them. In 1991, the UN Security Council, through Resolution 687, demanded that Iraq renounce all involvement with terrorism and permit no terrorist organizations to operate in Iraq. Iraq's regime agreed. It broke this promise. In violation of Security Council Resolution 1373, Iraq continues to shelter and support terrorist organizations that direct violence against Iran, Israel, and Western governments. Iraqi dissidents abroad are targeted for murder. In 1993, Iraq attempted to assassinate the Emir of Kuwait and a former American president. Iraq's government openly praised the attacks of September the 11th. And al-Qaeda terrorists escaped from Afghanistan and are known to be in Iraq. In 1991, the Iraqi regime agreed to destroy and stop developing all weapons of mass destruction and long-range missiles, and to prove to the world it has done so by complying with rigorous inspections. Iraq has broken every aspect of this fundamental pledge. From 1991 to 1995, the Iraqi regime said it had no biological weapons. after a senior official in its weapons program defected and exposed this lie. The regime admitted to producing tens of thousands of liters of anthrax and other deadly biological agents for use with Scud warheads, aerial bombs, and aircraft spray tanks. UN inspectors believe Iraq has produced 2 to 4 times the amount of biological agents it declared, and has failed to account for more than 3 metric tons of material that could be used to produce biological weapons. Right now, Iraq is expanding and improving facilities that were used for the production of biological weapons. United Nations inspections also reveal that Iraq likely maintains stockpiles of VX, mustard, and other chemical agents, and that the regime is rebuilding and expanding facilities capable of producing chemical weapons. And in 1995, after 4 years of deception, Iraq finally admitted it had a crash nuclear weapons program prior to the Gulf War. We know now, were it not for that war, the regime in Iraq would likely have possessed a nuclear weapon no later than 1993. Today, Iraq continues to withhold important information about its nuclear program, weapons design, procurement logs, experiment data, and accounting of nuclear materials and documentation of foreign assistance. Iraq employs capable nuclear scientists and technicians. It retains physical infrastructure needed to build a nuclear weapon. Iraq has made several attempts to buy high-strength aluminum tubes used to enrich uranium for a nuclear weapon. Should Iraq acquire fissile material, it would be able to build a nuclear weapon within a year. And Iraq's state-controlled media has reported numerous meetings between Saddam Hussein and his nuclear scientists, leaving little doubt about his continued appetite for these weapons. Iraq also possesses a force of Scud-type missiles with ranges beyond the 150 kilometers permitted by the UN. Work at testing and production facilities shows that Iraq is building more long-range missiles that can inflict mass death throughout the region. In 1990, after Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, the world imposed economic sanctions on Iraq. Those sanctions were maintained after the war to compel the regime's compliance with Security Council resolutions. In time, Iraq was allowed to use oil revenues to buy food. Saddam Hussein has subverted this program, working around the sanctions to buy missile technology and military materials. He blames the suffering of Iraq's people on the United Nations, even as he uses his oil wealth to build lavish palaces for himself and to buy arms for his country. By refusing to comply with his own agreements, he bears full guilt for the hunger and misery of innocent Iraqi citizens. In 1991, Iraq promised UN inspectors immediate and unrestricted access to verify Iraq's commitment to rid itself of weapons of mass destruction and long-range missiles. Iraq broke this promise, spending 7 years deceiving, evading, and harassing UN inspectors before ceasing cooperation entirely. Just months after the 1991 ceasefire, the Security Council twice renewed its demand that the Iraqi regime cooperate fully with inspectors, condemning Iraq's serious violations of its obligations. The Security Council again renewed that demand in 1994, and twice more in 1996, deploring Iraq's clear violations of its obligations. The Security Council renewed its demand 3 more times in 1997, citing flagrant violations, and 3 more times in 1998, calling Iraq's behavior totally unacceptable. And in 1999, the demand was renewed yet again.
Oi!
As we meet today, it's been almost 4 years since the last UN inspector set foot in Iraq. 4 years for the Iraqi regime to plan and to build and to test behind the cloak of secrecy. We know that Saddam Hussein pursued weapons of mass murder even when inspectors were in his country. Are we to assume that he stopped when they left?
No.
The history, the logic, and the facts lead to one conclusion. Saddam Hussein's regime is a grave and gathering danger. To suggest otherwise is to hope against the evidence. To assume this regime's good faith is to bet the lives of millions and the peace of the world in a reckless gamble. And this is a risk we must not take. Delegates to the General Assembly, we have been more than patient. We've tried sanctions. We've tried the carrot of oil for food and the stick of coalition military strikes. But Saddam Hussein has defied all these efforts and continues to develop weapons of mass destruction. First time we may be completely certain he has nuclear weapons is when, God forbids, he uses one. We owe it to all our citizens to do everything in our power to prevent that day from coming. The conduct of the Iraqi regime is a threat to the authority of the United Nations and a threat to peace. Iraq has answered a decade of UN demands with a decade of defiance. All the world now faces a test, and the United Nations a difficult and defining moment. Are Security Council resolutions to be honored and enforced or cast aside without consequence? Will the United Nations serve the purpose of its founding, or will it be irrelevant? The United States helped found the United Nations. We want the United Nations to be effective and respectful and successful. We want the resolutions of the world's most important multilateral body to be enforced. And right now, those resolutions are being unilaterally subverted by the Iraqi regime. Our partnership of nations can meet the test before us by making clear what we now expect of the Iraqi regime. If the Iraqi regime wishes peace, it will immediately and unconditionally forswear, disclose, and remove or destroy all weapons of mass destruction, long-range missiles, and all related material. If the Iraqi regime wishes peace, it will immediately end all support for terrorism and act to suppress it, as all states are required to do by UN Security Council resolutions. If the Iraqi regime wishes peace, it will cease persecution of its civilian population, including Shia, Sunnis, Kurds, Turkomans, and others, again, as required by Security Council resolutions. If the Iraqi regime wishes peace, it will release or account for all Gulf War personnel whose fate is still unknown. It will return the remains of any who are deceased, return stolen property, accept liability for losses resulting from the invasion of Kuwait, and fully cooperate with international efforts to resolve these issues, as required by Security Council resolutions. If the Iraqi regime wishes peace, It will immediately end all illicit trade outside the oil for food program. It will accept UN administration of funds from that program to ensure that the money is used fairly and promptly for the benefit of the Iraqi people. If all these steps are taken, it will signal a new openness and accountability in Iraq. And it could open the prospect of the United Nations helping to build a government that represents all Iraqis, a government based on respect for human rights, economic liberty, and internationally supervised elections. The United States has no quarrel with the Iraqi people. They've suffered too long in silent captivity. Liberty for the Iraqi people is a great moral cause and a great strategic goal. People of Iraq deserve it. The security of all nations requires it. Free societies do not intimidate through cruelty and conquest. And open societies do not threaten the world with mass murder. The United States supports political and economic liberty in a unified Iraq. We can harbor no illusions, and that's important today to remember. Saddam Hussein attacked Iran in 1980 and Kuwait in 1990. He's fired ballistic missiles at Iran and Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Israel. His regime once ordered the killing of every person between the ages of 15 and 70 in certain Kurdish villages in northern Iraq. He has gassed many Iranians and 40 Iraqi villages. My nation will work with the UN Security Council to meet our common challenge. If Iraq's regime defies us again, the world must move deliberately, decisively to hold Iraq to account. We will work with the UN Security Council for the necessary resolutions, but the purposes of the United States should not be doubted. The Security Council resolutions will be enforced. The just demands of peace and security will be met, or action will be unavoidable. And a regime that has lost its legitimacy will also lose its power.
We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
No Saddam's hiding a lot more than guns. They say they're weapons of mass destruction.
Are you sure?
I say we send a couple megatons, bomb Iraq. In the Gulf War, we let him off the hook. I think it's time to give his butt a whoop. So it's time to load those B-1s up, bomb Iraq. Bomb Iraq. Till there's nothing left to see, bomb Iraq. Till Saturn's 6 feet deep, bomb Iraq. Blow up the creek, bomb Iraq. And they say he's got some drugs and chemicals that burn, and then he might load them up on scuds. If we let him prepare, we better beware, because some of them smells won't be done. Bomb Iraq, bring it to an end. Bomb Iraq, blow him up again. Bomb Iraq, live on CNN. Bomb Iraq.
11:08 at 560 WQM. You know that fax you sent me a couple of minutes ago?
Which one?
From Sam, allegedly?
Oh, yeah.
See, the Jerry, he's trying like typing now instead of the little squiggly handwriting. Just desperate to get through. Whatever. Anyway, there's only a couple of more minutes of what El Presidente had to say. I think he made it pretty clear.
Yes.
He made it clear that, send the inspectors back in. We know that they're not going to comply, and then get ready for La Bamba is pretty much what he said. Speaking of Iraq, Iraqi newspapers mark the anniversary of 9/11 with banner headlines describing the terrorist attack as God's punishment against America, and ordinary Iraqis also voiced anger at a country they fear might be preparing an invasion of their country.
Absolutely correct, sir.
The state-owned weekly Al-Iqtisadi covered its front page yesterday with a photograph of a burning World Trade Center tower and a two-word headline in red, God's punishment. The daily Al-Jumhuriyah, in a front-page editorial, said the lesson the U.S. should have drawn from 9/11 was that its policies inspired hatred. Many Arabs have linked 9/11 to a sense in the region that Washington unfairly sides with Israel and that its Iraqi policy has hurt ordinary citizens here. America used 9/11 events to increase its hostile policy against nations under the pretext of anti-terrorism, Al-Jumhuriyah added. Washington accuses President Hussein of harboring terrorists and possessing weapons of mass destruction, yada, yada, yada. Ordinary Iraqis fear their country will again come under American bombing as it was during the 91 Persian Gulf War that forced Saddam to reverse his 1990 invasion of Kuwait. Events like September 11th are sad, but it's an opportunity for the American people to feel what bombing could do to nations. Ali Ahmed, a 47-year-old who runs a Baghdad stationery shop, said yesterday, the first anniversary of the attacks, America has proven it has no respect for nations by wanting to change the government in Iraq. How would an American feel towards somebody who wants to change his government? Sanctions imposed by the UN Security Council for Iraq's invasion of Kuwait cannot be lifted until the inspectors certify Baghdad has surrendered nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons and the missiles to deliver them. If they enjoyed seeing us suffer under sanctions for 12 years, we should enjoy seeing them suffer, said Samira Kadhim, a 53-year-old housewife. My children never stopped asking me at night, when is America going to bomb us? Samira, I think we have the answer pretty soon. Whether you like it or not, pretty soon. Yeah, I think they pretty much made up their minds, haven't you?
Sounds like it.
Did we ever find out about Kit Carson, by the way?
Not yet.
No. Ugly Chuck's still working on it. These people here wouldn't know Kit Carson from Johnny Carson. That's all I can tell you. Okay, but us old-timers, I just barely vaguely remember the name. 243 votes on the poll. And, of course, we went a little over on the break there, a couple of minutes, because, we got the crucial stuff, right? I think we got it all in. 243 votes on the poll. What do you call soft drinks? Because there seems to be this big debate. This is the pressing stuff that the public is worried about. The government's worried about oil and money. About terrorism. And the public were concerned about what do you call soft drinks. I'm serious. This is what we're concerned about. And, of course, who's going to win the big football games this weekend. 243 votes. Soda, 150. Overwhelming. Coke, 46. I don't ever drink that crap, 25. Pop, 16. And tonic, 6. 6 people want a gin and tonic. 12 minutes after 11 at 560 WQAM. Have you heard the news about the 3.95% mortgage? It's true. If you've been thinking about it, here's the time to take some action. Now's the time to buy a home or refinance your existing home at the unbelievably low rate of only 3.95%. If you got yourself a 7.5% mortgage, that 3.95% rate could save you over 3.5% or over $3,500 the first year on a $100,000 mortgage. Don't make things hard for yourself. Don't make them more expensive than they have to be. Pick up the phone and call Financial Group at 1-800-940-LEND. That's 1-800-940-5363. Getting a mortgage someplace else will cost you thousands of dollars extra every year, so just think of all the money you can save yourself with a 3.95% mortgage. Financial Group has helped thousands of people just like you. Put your financing in the best possible position by getting yourself a 3.95% mortgage. Call Financial Group today and be sure and tell them that Todd Dreck told you to call 1-800-940-5363. That's 1-800-940-5363. They're an equal housing lender. Credit restrictions do apply. And don't forget, rates are subject to change if you wait too long.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Hoover out the moon, man.
Don't like all the heartburn. Every time I see that retarded dimwit on my TV. He's President of Republicans muscled in, an inarticulate idiot. I don't know why they would want this guy, but now he's here. Oh, what I give to count votes once more, and guess who we all voted for? Stupid key. Fine, live drunk and rich kid. He's even dumber than me. He's President Dumb. You don't care what it took. You got him in by hook or crook. The Christian right knows what's best for you and I, but have no fear. We've got a great leader here with President Dumb.
So there was another dog and pony show for you. The die has already been cast, boys and girls. It's already been decided months ago that we're going in. Like it or not, we're going in. And, of course, the timing of this, right on the heels of yesterday's tributes and non-stop, round-the-clock, patriotic, flag-waving, jingoistic bullcrap, and right on the heels of this, and we're going in, and right before the elections, too, coming up in just a few weeks. But you'll notice in the primaries, though, on Tuesday, all of this talk about super patriotism and all the other crap it wasn't borne out by large numbers of people going to the polls anywhere. And of course, in South Florida, even those people who did show up, some of them couldn't vote anyway. And you do understand that in their infinite wisdom, the Republican legislature decided to Schmidt-Can the runoff election for this election only. A lot of people wonder, well, how come, since nobody got over 50% of the vote, how come there's no runoff election in this primary? Well, they specifically decided that there was going to be no runoff in this one. And, of course, if there would have been a runoff, Janet would win in a landslide in the runoff because she'd get all of those darky votes from Jones. Right about that? Absolutely correct. But there ain't going to be no runoff. And it looks like Bill McBride, who is Jeb Bush's worst nightmare, is going to be the Democratic candidate on November 5. Anyway, you make up your own minds, okay? You decide whether you want to go in and blow them to bits and take whatever the consequences are, rattling the hornet's nest. The best memorial, writes Joe Conason, genuine freedom in the New York Observer yesterday. He says, I can offer no advice about how best to observe this week's anniversary. In our home, the television is off while the radio is tuned to WNYC, the public radio station that proved so essential to the city in the time of horror. Whatever we do, we'll be thinking about the bereaved, of course, especially those who lost comrades and loved ones in the uniformed services. As everyone who lives here knows, those thoughts require no prompting from the media and occur with a random frequency regardless of dates and ceremonies. If I do turn on TV during the day, it'll probably be to hear the firefighters and the cops play their bagpipes at Ground Zero. The spirit of last autumn in New York, however blunted by a return to daily routines, hasn't disappeared. The feelings we all experience when we walk past a firehouse represent a change that'll last for a generation and possibly much longer. The attack took place on a Tuesday morning, which for me meant the imperative of a deadline. Later, some readers responded angrily to the column that I wrote after watching the Twin Towers fall, that it was too political, too critical, and too partisan. On reflection, I came to understand that reaction. Although I wouldn't withdraw a single word, I can see why others might have found those words inappropriate to the emotions of the moment. But this anniversary occurs in a season that is inescapably political, and its observance will be employed for purposes of state and of party. To assess the past 12 months in those terms and to analyze their impact on the future is in no way disrespectful of private grief or patriotic unity. It's what citizens do in a democracy. Any assessment of this historic year should, in fairness, take account of the Bush administration's achievements. The destruction of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan was a just war conducted with fewer civilian casualties than many expected. It destroyed the main sanctuaries of the totalitarian enemy and disrupted their capacity to attack again. As the nation's leaders in that conflict, George W. Bush and his aides can rightly claim the victory, even though its swift, certain execution utterly disproved his campaign complaints about the condition of the armed forces under his predecessor. Mr. Bush also deserves considerable credit for what didn't happen to American Muslims and Arabs and those who merely look as if they could be Muslims and Arabs. He protected them with presidential authority and prestige from the mass recriminations they might have suffered in a nation alarmed and infuriated by Islamic fundamentalism. Those laudable accomplishments, however, do not expunge the administration's responsibility for the most sustained assault on constitutional liberties in decades. The President's defense of Arab Americans as a group is overshadowed by the actions of his Attorney General, who has held hundreds of individuals in prison for months while refusing to name them or describe their offenses. Open courtrooms have been transformed into secret chambers. the administration has arrogated to itself the power to arrest any citizen suspected of connections with terrorism by its definition and hold that person indefinitely, granting no access to an attorney or to a court. Indeed, it claims the power to do so without public explanation, and it's defied judicial orders to redress those offenses. This government's even attempted to enlist millions of postal workers and meter readers to spy on the rest of us. That initiative has been withdrawn for the time being, yet it is still misusing the establishment of its ominously named Department of Homeland Security to break unions while undermining whistleblower and freedom of information laws. In the supposed defense of liberty under the rule of law, both law and liberty are being destroyed. The same attitude that flouts the Constitution is undermining America's relationships with traditional allies and undermining the nation's stature abroad. Afghanistan has hardly been secured against the scattered forces of the Taliban. Osama bin Laden is still assumed to be at large, and al-Qaeda retains sufficient resources to provoke an orange alert. Yet the attention of the administration is rather prematurely turned elsewhere. The determination of the President and his aides to invade Iraq is hardly disguised by their belated consultations with various foreign heads of state. Their insistent focus on a war resolution in the weeks before a national election where the President's party fears losses because of domestic issues has only provoked additional doubts about Mr. Bush's preemptive policy. And their stated opinion that we can wage war without congressional assent has only amplified their contempt for any constraints on their power. Among the most vexing questions confronted this year by New Yorkers and all Americans is how best to honor the memory of our dead. To build a concrete monument while surrendering constitutional freedom and democratic order will do them no honor at all. Writes Joe Coniston in the New York Observer. Jennifer Harper writes in the Washington Times yesterday, nobody was ready for healing on December 7, 1942, and closure was the last thing anybody wanted. America, on the first anniversary of that other date that lives in infamy, often the benchmark by which 9/11 is judged, wanted blood and vengeance without apology. No flowers, no teddy bears, and no exploration of the national angst. No presidential admonitions to think of Shinto as a religion of peace. No appeals to understand the frustrations that drove the misunderstood Nazis to rape Poland and bomb London. The front pages of the nation's newspapers were stuffed with news of war, a battle raging in Tunisia, the launch of the USS New Jersey at Philadelphia, and on the front page of the old Evening Star, a single photographic reminder of the destroyed harbor at Honolulu. On an inside page, Private Joe Lockhart, who had first spotted the incoming Japanese planes at a radar station above Honolulu, was the subject of a small item headlined, "Hero of Navy prefers to forget Pearl Harbor." We have to give it our time to what's happening now, he said, and wait for history to catch up with it when the war is won. That was the extent of the observance, aside from an account of an air raid warden's parade down Georgia Avenue and the advertised pleas from clothiers and jewelry stores to remember Pearl Harbor and to buy war bonds, scrimp on gasoline, and save kitchen grease. The Washington Post had no stories about the anniversary on its front page, though it recounted, like other papers around the country, neighborhood memorial services, blood drives, ladies' auxiliary luncheons, and the hasty weddings of men in uniform and sweet-faced brides. Grit and gravitas were the order of that day. We may stand for a moment in meditation and on the, in mediation on the courage and sacrifice of those who now on land, at sea, and in the air hold aloft the flag of the U.S. of America, the New York Times observed. In her newspaper column December 8, 1942, I think that was supposed to be meditation. In her newspaper column December 8, 1942, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt told Americans while she opposed the commemoration of Pearl Harbor, "It is not a date for a holiday," she wrote. "It's the date that should make us work." That was then in the fashionable phrase of today, and this is September 11, 2002, and the grandchildren of WW2 generation can afford the indulgence of an extravagantly mawkish anniversary and what they are told is war. In the 60 years since Pearl Harbor, 200 books have been written about that first date to live in infamy. In the year since 9/11, more than 400 books have been published. Interpretive TV docudramas include Relics from the Rubble, Portraits of Grief, and Faith and Doubt at Ground Zero, a PBS production that included photos of people leaping from the Twin Towers. The people who study such things scratch their heads. Why do journalists have this need to one-up each other, asked Warren Watson of the American Press Institute. Why do we have this anniversary mentality? What would happen if we did nothing at all? That would be a statement in itself. Times and technology were different, of course, he says. Indeed, the public only knew the real toll of Pearl Harbor when a year later the Navy released numbers of ships sunk and lives lost. I've often wondered how the 24-hour news media would have treated Antietam, Mr. Watson says, of the 1862 Civil War battle that to this morning remains the bloodiest day in American history. Americans are divided on anniversary coverage. Some say it's a moral duty to relive the attacks through newspaper and television accounts. Others find the overkill ghoulish and invasive. Surveys disagree. A Gallup poll predicted that 78% of the country plans to watch the TV coverage. A San Francisco Chronicle poll found only 2% of those polled would watch. Part of the ritual of life is to look at anniversary dates with reverence and to be reminded about real events, Mr. Watson said. But when we see excessive coverage, we know it. We know when the media is playing around the edges of getting off message. Syracuse University media analyst Robert Thompson compares 9/11 anniversary coverage to the Super Bowl, noting it was a media-declared holiday. The Americans of that era, now fading swiftly into the unremembered past, had no time for such navel-gazing. We have no instinct for glory, opined a very different New York Times on December 8, 1942. What we surely do have collectively is the determination to put all we possess into this necessary and unpleasant task. Our emotions are deep and not noisily expressed, but we know that we're destined to play a decisive part, not on this continent alone, but throughout the world. That knowledge steadies us and brings us together. Written yesterday morning's paper, the Washington Times, with a misprint. 11:27 at 560 WQAM. Speaking of misprints, could this be that same piece of copy? That Sure could be. Well, is Todd Dreck in the building? Is he working there anymore, or did he leave?
He's around.
He's around. Yeah, he's around 4 bricks short of a full load. Anyway, let me tell you about becoming a high-paid computer professional. We've been talking until you're blue in the face about the large number of jobs that are available out there in the computer business. Well, here's the deal. How do you get to a good school that'll help you accomplish all of these things, get out of your dead-end job and making some serious bucks? There is only one school that's got 4 convenient locations in Dade and Broward. Just ask Todd Dreck. He'll show you exactly where all of them are. There's one school that's got certified Microsoft instructors, convenient day, evening, and weekend classes. There's one school that's got full-time job placement department with over 30 years' experience. And when you go to Fast Train, you can complete your program in just 4 short months. And like I said, get your way on the road to a serious career and a big, fat paycheck. So get off your butt, pick up that phone, get all the information with no obligation. They'll be happy to tell you exactly how the deal works. Call Fast Train toll-free at 1-866-FAST-TRAIN. That's 1-866-FAST-TRAIN, or check them out on the web if you like at fasttrain.com.
Live and local. We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
He wants me to sing God Bless America and pasties and a G-string up here. I'll do it.
It's an all-new CBS Fall, starting with an all-new CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Dan Rather reporting. I'm feeling kinky.
At 8, an all-new King of Queens.
Just as long as I can get a chance to wrap my long legs around that strong body of yours.
Followed by an all-new Oh Yes.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Tuesdays, an all-new Jag. Wednesdays, it's an all-new 60 Minutes, too. Thursdays, it's an all-new Survivor. Then Friday, catch an all-new 48 Hours.
That's sexy.
Saturday, it's an all-new Touched by an Angel. Ready for it.
Give me more.
It's the all-new CBS Fall lineup. We got what you want.
Yes! Yes!
Oh, yeah.
Yes!
And don't forget today that everybody in the world is looking forward to a week from next Tuesday, September 24th. Smallville returns for the new season. Anyway, thank you very much, Ugly Chuck. Ugly Chuck did 2 things for me. First of all, he gives me the thing with the Kit Carson here, the bio. Kit Carson, 1809 to 1868, American hunter, trapper, and scout, yada, yada, yada. He was an infant. His parents moved to Howard County, Missouri. He later became an apprentice to a saddler, and he did this and he did that, and he was appointed Indian agent for the Ute and Apache at Taos, New Mexico. During the Civil War, he helped organize New Mexico infantry, et cetera, and so on. So there's what Kit Carson was all about. That's who he was. And, of course, there was the movie character. So that doesn't tell us anything about Kim Hunter, but we don't really give a crap about poor Kim Hunter anymore because she doesn't give a crap. She's dead, right? She's dead. And also, thanks for the adware download sites, so I can get rid of this damn... And I'm reading the thing on the bottom here. It says, I don't know if you have Kazaa, but if you do and you want to get rid of as much of that crap as possible, you replace it with Kazaa Light.
Right.
Is that like Champion Light? Is that like Miller Light? Kazaa Light. Okay, thank you very much, Ugly Chuck.
No problem.
Let's see, college football player dies. A couple of weeks ago, we had a 10-year-old girl die playing contact football, and I still don't understand why little girls are playing contact football. Do you understand that, Miguel?
No.
She's dead.
She shouldn't be playing football. Well,
and then there was another kid who died. I don't remember how old he was, a high school kid, I think. And here's a college football kid. Big Rapids, Michigan. A college football player died after collapsing during a tackling drill. Ferris State University said today. Ferris State. Ever been there?
Yeah, of course.
You haven't been to Ferris State. And neither. Although I remember Ferris State because I used to broadcast Olivet College football and basketball. And they played Ferris State. How do you like that, huh? Didn't realize it was around that much. Michigan, baby, that's quite a state. You don't want to go there, though. They don't like your kind there. In fact, they don't like any kind in Michigan. They like Mad Dog, though. Freshman linebacker Matt Sklorn, 18, collapsed during practice yesterday afternoon. University spokesman Jim Thorpe said emergency workers were unable to revive him, and preliminary reports indicate he died of heart failure. 18-year-old kid. Nobody cares. I mean, just, we got pro guys dying, high school kids, little girls. Cincinnati airport terminal evacuated after, and I'm not suggesting that we ban football, don't get me wrong, because I got my NFL package in here, and I'm a big Patriot fan and Tom Brady fan. And by the way, I should point out that I was a Patriot fan long before Tom Brady ever, put on a Patriot jockstrap.
Right.
I was. You got to be kidding me. I was rooting for the Patriots long before anybody, although I was following Tom Brady's great career at Michigan. Always liked those Wolverines, didn't I? Only when he was there. That was kind of amusing. Cincinnati airport terminal evacuated after reported security breach. Hundreds of people were forced to evacuate an airport terminal because of a security breach today at Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport. 2 concourses were evacuated for about an hour and 45 minutes at the Delta Terminal, which handles most of the passenger traffic in the airport, spokesman Ted Bushelman said. He said he had no other information about the problem, which was reported by security screeners. We ought to get Ike Siemens to cover that for us. You know what? Send that old fuddy-duddy over there to Cincinnati. At least get him out of Miami. And he can tell us about what a great job the screeners are doing, and yada, 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 and do his usual suction job. My God, Ike, isn't it time to hang up the microphone before you make any worse of a fool of yourself, you silly old goat? God. 276 votes on our poll on neilrogers.com. What do you call soft drinks? Soda, 170. Coke, 53. I don't ever drink that Schmidt, 30. Pop, 17. And Tonic, 6. Oh, speaking of people who may have had maybe a few too many pops, Buzz Aldrin. You remember Buzz Aldrin, our great astronaut? Buzz Aldrin says he was defending himself when he swung at a man who asked him to swear on a Bible that he had been to the moon, the former astronaut's publicist said. I want Miguel to swear on a Bible that he's been to Ferris State. You going to do it?
Sure, I got one right here.
Put your hand on it. And the Bible, too. Buzz Aldrin was forced to protect himself and his stepdaughter when he was aggressively confronted outside a Beverly Hills hotel. Publicist Robert O'Brien said in a prepared statement, no relation, of course, to Pat O'Brien. Authorities were, and of course we're talking about Pat O'Brien, the actor, not that asshole Pat O'Brien on the football, what is he on? Drugs? Authorities were investigating a report by Bart Sibrel, 37, who said he was attacked by the former Apollo 11 astronaut on Monday at the Lux Hotel. Aldrin, 72, had left the hotel when police arrived around 4:30 in the afternoon, was not interviewed, said Police Lieutenant Joe Lombardi. Sibrel of Nashville, Tennessee, says he doesn't believe Aldrin or anyone else has ever walked on the moon, describing himself as an investigative reporter. Sibrel told KABC-TV he was trying to confront Aldrin about his 1969 lunar mission when Aldrin swung at him. Aldrin had just finished an interview with a Japanese TV production crew, and the confrontation was videotaped.
All right.
Well, let's get a hold of that. Sibrel said he had confronted Aldrin twice before and was surprised that Aldrin reacted the way he did the third time. I was very surprised that he hit me. I thought it was very foolish for him to do it in front of 2 video cameras, Sibrel said. He's got a good punch. It was quick, too. I didn't see it coming. Nice sucker punch there, Buzz.
Oh!
Aldrin's publicist said the videotape shows Sibrel blocking the way as Aldrin and his stepdaughter were leaving the hotel. Yeah. Investigative reporter, my ass.
To the moon, Alice.
Yeah, he's a moon man. He's a frickin' moon man. Here's a guy that's doing good. Superman, you knew he'd make a comeback, didn't you?
He might walk again.
Christopher Reeve has regained some movement and sensation in his hands and feet 7 years after a horse riding accident that left him paralyzed from the neck down. The Superman star can also breathe on his own for 90 minutes at a time.
Oh!
No, that was bad. It was my finger, okay? To be able to feel just the lightest touch is really a gift, Reeve said. And, of course, thanks to our president and those right-wing Christians, we don't want to do that stem cell research because we want to save those unborn embryos. Oh, so he's got to do it on his own, like everybody else with Parkinson's and diabetes. The actor has received treatment for the past 3 years through the activity-based recovery program that his Dr. John McDonald created. The therapy consists of electrical muscle stimulation combined with repetitive motion exercises. The results, Reeve can move the fingers on his left hand and the toes on both feet. He can feel a pinprick on most parts of his body and can tell the difference between hot and cold and sharp and dull, which is sure better than most of our sales department, because the motto in our sales department is where there is no sense, there's no feeling. No one who has suffered an injury as severe as Chris has and failed to have any initial recovery has regained the amount of motor and sensory function he has, said McDonald, the medical director of the Spinal Cord Injury Program at Washington State University School of Medicine in St. Louis. Reeve had hoped to walk again by his 50th birthday, September 25, but he says he's still encouraged even though he won't reach that goal. The fact is that even if your body doesn't work the way it used to, the heart and mind and the spirit are not diminished, he said. It's as simple as that. Reeve documents his progress in a new book, Nothing is Impossible, Reflections on a New Life, and an ABC program on September 18. Let's hear it for Superman.
Oh!
He's okay in my book. He's all right. Never stole a freight train. He's got that kind of like pinched nose. You know what I mean? He's no George Reeves. Now, you don't remember George Reeves, do you, from Superman on television, the real old ones?
Yeah, I remember him.
Do you?
Yeah.
The guy with like a real out of shape, you know, he had that tight outfit.
He had a belly.
He had a pot belly. And then, of course, he allegedly committed suicide. It was kind of like that goddamn lunatic in Baghdad who supposedly committed suicide, that terrorist. Remember he supposedly shot himself 4 times in the head? 20 till noon at 560. What's that schedule? I've been remiss. We've had so much going on. We had the president guesting on the program today to tell us that we're going in, baby. We're going in. Whether you like it or not, we're going in. We're going to bust his crap to the smithereens. Let's see. We got Mad Dog Jim Mandich at 1. No changes there. Hank Dog. Oh, and you know something? Now, there are a lot of people in this audience aren't crazy about the president. But I want to tell you, I'd rather have him on the show than Beano Cook. Wouldn't you?
Who?
Beano Cook. Jim Mandich 1 to 3, the Humper from 3 to 6:35 with that Beano Cook hour 5 to 6. Believe me, why he does that, it's only to kill an hour. Trust me, Hank knows better than that. And by the way, let me say it again. Mo, quit trying to suck up to the Humper. He's not taking it. You're not fooling him. Marlins on deck 6:35. Marlins at the Mets 7:10.
Philly.
Please get that baseball crap over with. Eddie K after the baseball game, and Joe and Mark overnight to set up some material for tomorrow morning 6 to 7 hour.
Marlins are at Philly, though.
I beg your pardon?
They're in Philadelphia.
What did I say?
Mets.
Well, that's what it says on the schedule.
I know.
Oh, don't tell me that Clarence made another mistake. Uh-oh.
Oi!
How's Muff doing? Let's call up Muff. It's 19 till noon at 560 WQM. I got some amazing news from the Pizza Loft. Jeff Cohen called in this morning and tells Ugly Chuck that the opening is pushed back a little bit. Probably because they're having to deal with all those idiots in Plantation, the zoning people. Man, they are so persnickety in Plantation, they're the worst. I'm assuming that's the reason. Or maybe just because he's trying to show up Marcy for telling me it was supposed to be September 3rd. But anyway, the new Pizza Loft in Plantation, Nob Hill and Sunrise, right beyond Walgreens there, will be opening any day now toward the end of the month or whenever he gets around to it. But in the meantime, they're still going strong. You can go to the one in Davie there, University Drive between Griffin and 595, and the Pizza Loft Plaza. The landmark to look for is that Pier 1 Imports and then kitty corner to the new Armadillo Cafe. You'll see the great Pizza Loft that's been going strong for years now. Fantastic food, big fresh portions, teeny tiny prices, and of course they got the best garlic rolls you've ever popped in your puss. 3 different kinds of delicious pizza. They got takeout, delivery, and of course they cater for as little as $5 per person. They do a stupendous job. Here's the number to call: 954-916-8880. 954-916-8880. It doesn't get any better or any. And of course, maybe you'll run into the Rimmers there. You see, I didn't tell you the real reason he's opening in Plantation, because the Rimmers are doing all the freebies over there in Davie, and so now I got to have him out by me in Plantation.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560. QAM.
If it's free, it's me. Coming up tonight on Inside the Behind, the True Hollywood Celebrity Music Biography Profile Story, we take a good, hard, stiff look into stardom. They gave us one of the defining songs of 80's new wave. Now they give us a line of bullshit about why they let Burger King use it in a commercial that one time. They were Modern English.
Oh yeah, ask anyone. When we wrote Melt With You, we were thinking of cheese. Yeah, that's it. Gooey and delicious cheese, all melting on top of 2 old beef patties. I mean, come on, it's rock and roll, man.
Tonight, you'll hear Modern English frontman Colin Full of It Harris asking us to believe that he knew the song would be used in a commercial years later.
When you think of it, a woman is like cheese, really. She's tempting and delicious, about 30% fat.
All those years, he told me that Melt With You was about how great the sex was with me. Now it's about a f***ing cheeseburger?
Colin's ex-girlfriend, Wanda Camembert.
I just feel so cheap. It's like all those times he was with me, he might as well have been dry humping a sandwich.
Finally, when confronted with the image of dry humping a burger, the leader of Modern English stared down his demons and told the truth.
We didn't write this song for a commercial. We needed the money.
There, guys. As far as using your song in a commercial goes, you're in good company. With a bunch of other jerk-off sellout scumbags, most of whom are far more famous than you. It's a big, juicy, sopping wet look at show business, tonight on Inside the Behind.
It's 11:47 at 560 WQAM. There's Alan Greenspan. Oh, they just chopped him off, too, on CNN. Just as I was going to put him on for about 2 seconds, they chopped his ugly ass off. He's In the meantime, the market is, while he's speaking, watching it take a precipitous drop. After the jokes and questions of integrity linger, writes William Gibson, the Washington Chief Bureau, in the Sun Sentinel today, as once again we're laughing stock. But you know something? I think most people would adopt the attitude, so what else is new, you know? We're beyond embarrassment anymore in the state of Florida, especially in South Florida. I mean, with all the humiliation, all the worldwide between Alien and the hanging Chads and this election here on Tuesday, is there anything worse that we can...
No.
I don't think so. I mean, we're kind of used to it. It's like our trademark. I think maybe we can turn it around, like something we're proud of. New thing for the Chamber of Commerce people, for the tourism industry. Hey, come on down and see all of us idiots. See how inept we really are. See all our old fuddy-duddy people who work, poll workers. All the 150-year-olds who are trying to jaywalk across Hallandale Beach Boulevard. Oh, by the way, it's Double Point Thursday on Hallandale Beach Boulevard. Don't forget. It's a small joke so far, a source of rueful amusement leading to a deeper cynicism about the value of voting, writes William E. Gibson in the Scum Sentinel today. Floridians can't count as the punchline, but the underlying message is that all too often some votes don't get counted. Florida's latest election spectacle, the chaotic primaries on Tuesday, once again tarnished the state's image nationwide, but more importantly, it also contributed to a sense that elections in general can be arbitrary or exclusionary or even rigged. Oh, I can't believe that. Florida's purported model of election reform widely was seen around the nation as a failure, though some observers gave the state credit for at least trying to modernize its methods and equipment. The late-night TV comedians haven't yet got a hold of the story, but the murmuring has begun. I bet you last night they did. Glitches plagued polls in Florida, said the Chicago Tribune headline the morning after. Voting goes awry again in Florida, reported the Atlanta Journal. Voting problems in Florida, ? Count on it, intoned the San Francisco Chronicle's online edition. The Guardian of London proclaimed, Florida's election curse strikes again as the son of Chad fails the voters. The son of Chad. I like it. The Tampa Tribune added this jab, for some primary voters, another Florida election. For Florida's sake, it's a good thing that this is being overshadowed by the 9/11 commemoration, said Richard Noyes, political analyst at the Media Research Center in Northern Virginia. Most people understand having a bad election, but 2 in a row, especially after elections officials went to such great lengths to tell everybody the problems would be fixed, makes Florida seem a bit like a laughingstock, he said. Just a bit. The episode could turn into another national fixation if late tallies in the Democratic gubernatorial primary between Janet and Bill leave the contest unresolved the next few days. And, of course, even though McBride was 8,000 votes ahead at the end, it's still up in the air. If this is the last day of the story, the 36 hours of confusion, it will probably not become a national story. But if it drags on with recounts or lawsuits or turns into another election that ends in a tie, I expect to see the late-night comedians jump into it, Noyes said. Many political observers are not amused. This is going to reinforce a good deal of cynicism among the voting public, not just in Florida, but all over the country. And they're already highly cynical, said Brian Vargas, professor of political science and director of the Public Opinion Lab at Indiana University. Things like this in the long run serve mostly the depressed voter turnout. We're seeing a steady increase in people saying, my vote doesn't make a difference. When you have any kind of counting scandal, it just adds to it. Indiana, like many states, has explored election reform to upgrade its equipment, but tight budgets have prevented Indiana and others from following Florida's lead, while states await congressional action on legislation that would send money to help them meet new national election guidelines. Indiana's primaries in May had a record low turnout, a trend found in many states. See what I mean about this newfound patriotism and everybody? It's easy to go out and buy a flag for 98 cents. But all of this bullcrap about newfound patriotism, don't count on it. People say, yeah, Florida, ha, 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 it says. It was a joke, but what people don't realize is that it goes against the image of the integrity of the entire system, Vargas said. Some people say what happens in Florida must go on here, too. Why should I go to the trouble to register, find out what the campaigns are about, and show up to vote? The reaction was muted on the West Coast, where Florida's troubles in the 2000 election and Tuesday's primary seemed distant and indistinct, to the extent that anyone who's watched it comes across as Keystone Cops said Fred Smoller, chairman of the political science department at Chapman University in Orange County, California. But the final answer is a growing realization that the act of counting votes is quite complicated and problematic, and your state should be lauded for at least attempting to come up with a touchscreen approach. Inevitably, there are going to be problems with anything new that you're going to do. But like I said, maybe if we had some poll workers under the age of 200, it might help, just maybe. Election reformers nevertheless struggle to turn a negative development into a positive one by using Florida's hard lessons to spur final passage of federal reforms. The Florida experience shows that real reform means more than replacing voting machines, said Representative Steny Hoyer, Democrat of Maryland, the House leader on reform legislation. That's why it is crucial to the integrity of our democracy and public confidence in our election system that Congress immediately finish its work on federal election reform, Hoyer said. The American people deserve no less, and our democracy demands it, he'd be saying. How do you like them, huh? Sound like fighting words to me. 303 votes on our poll. Very important poll today. Could be the most important one we've taken in a coon's age. What do you call soft? Hey, and speaking of that, by the way, have you ever thought about this? I bet you never even thought about this. What soft drinks do dark folks drink? Huh? No, seriously. It just crossed my mind for the first time, which goes to show you. What?
Does Kool-Aid count as a soft drink?
Oh, that's bad. That is so bad. God. No wonder you're not getting paid for this. Does Kool-Aid count? Well, do blacks really drink a lot of Kool-Aid? I know they did at Jonestown, but we're not talking about that. But seriously, do they drink a lot of Kool-Aid? And you know what else? I bet they drink a lot of Hawaiian Punch. You know why?
Why?
Because it's real sweet, like watermelon. No, I could be wrong, but I think that many dark folks have a taste for stuff real sweet. And I do too, as a matter of fact. So maybe once upon a time I had like a little black in me. I don't know. I don't remember it. Hey, speaking of that, don't forget to join George 5 to 7 tonight with Miguel and with Boca Brian. You can rub Boca's bald spot, which will take a long time, at Treasure Island, located off the Palmetto, just north of the 122nd Street exit. You know, the reason I chuckled before I finish this insipid promo is because I think about that silly wig that he puts on for comedy's sake now and then, and I ask him, like, do you wear that, like, when you get out of your car, do you walk into the building with that? Oh, yeah.
He does.
He does. I mean, if anybody could see it. In fact, maybe he'll model it for you. That would be reason alone to get out there tonight to see that. Wow. When you see that, you'll just piss your pants, I guarantee it. 5 to 7 tonight, Treasure Island. That's just off the Palmetto north of the 122nd Street exit. You'll see the signs. Stop by for prizes, Budweiser specials, and check out this week's feature, Zoe Britton, at Treasure Island tonight, 5 to 7. George, too sick to work today, but well enough to go there and get a little ahead tonight. Oh, and wait, speaking of a head case, this guy, I can smell another press conference anytime FBI returns to Hatfield apartment. They're just going to destroy this guy. They're going to kill him. FBI agents investigating last year's anthrax attack searched the Frederick apartment, once rented by biowarfare defense expert Stephen J. Hatfield, for the third time yesterday, sources familiar with the investigation said. Hatfield spokesman Pat Clausen said the former U.S. government researcher had not lived in the apartment since August 12th. Clausen said he presumed the apartment was vacant. The Justice Department has described Hatfield, 48, a virologist who worked at the U.S. Army's biodefense labs at Fort Detrick till 99, as one of about 30 persons of interest in the FBI's investigation of those anthrax attacks that killed 5 people late last year. Hatfield in June consented to an FBI search of the Frederick apartment in a complex practically next door to Fort Detrick. The FBI returned with a search warrant for a second search August 1. The FBI has given no reason for the searches and has repeatedly said that Hatfield is not a suspect in the anthrax case. They just like hassling him. They get their jollies from it. During this period, Hatfield discarded some possessions in trash receptacles outside his apartment complex and packed others for a move to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he accepted a $150,000 job as a biodefense expert training first responders at LSU. Hatfield on several occasions has protested his innocence and said the notoriety he gained during the investigation has completely, utterly destroyed his life. LSU fired him last week without explanation after getting that telegram from the FBI. How many searches does it take before the FBI gets it right, Clausen asked. This is exactly the kind of stuff that's driving everybody crazy on this. Clausen said Hatfield had his last encounter with the FBI August 30th when he voluntarily appeared at Washington field office to give a blood sample and allow agents to take his fingerprints and palm prints. Well, you know, he's keeping everybody busy. They're using him to keep everybody busy. Oh, look at this. They think they got the guy because they don't have the guy. They haven't got a clue. They haven't got the fight. In fact, my little dog has got a better idea who did the anthrax mailings than the whole the State Department, the Defense Department, all the ships at sea. Not to mention, of course, the Justice Department and its glorious leader, John Ashcroft. Even Miguel's got a better idea who done it. 11:56 at 560 WQAM. I bet you Tom Lehman's got an idea. When you go down to Hallett Pontiac, say, Tom, who do you think done it? And he'll look at you and go, but if you want yourself a great deal, this is the place, because Tom Lehman and Hallett Pontiac GMC are doing it again as 0% financing continues as I speak. That's right, with approved credit from GMAC, you can get 0% financing up to 36 months on all brand new 2003 Pontiacs and GMC models, which obviously they're there. It would be nice to know a little more about that, but of course the constraints of weak copy doesn't tell us. Or take a rebate up to $4,000 on all 2002 Pontiacs or GMC models in stock. One thing about QAM, you can't complain about the copy because they don't give us any. Check out the complete line of GMC SUVs while you're at Hell, including the Envoy, voted by Motor Trend as SUV of the Year, plus see the all-new Pontiac Vibe SUV. Like I've been telling you for a very, very long time, the Vibe has the power of a big, fancy, schmancy, expensive sports car. Hallett's also got a great selection of dependable pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. And if anybody in the world turned you down for credit, this is the place for all you deadbeats, because they'll work you a deal somehow, even if Tom has to make the payments. So for a great deal on Pontiacs and GMCs, see Hallett Pontiac GMC at their old great location. They've been doing it there for 35 years. 13401 South Dixie Highway, that's US 1, right across from the Falls, open every day, 7 days a week. Hallett Pontiac GMC, we be professional grade.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560, QAM.
Well, now I do believe it be the 1 to 12 hour.
Shot in the arm, a little pain, honey, I'm going for a vaccine. That west now, I gotta repel. If I get infected, it's gonna be hell. Before that virus gets a hold on me, I'll be at the clinic where my shots are free. No, it ain't no fun. Oh, it's a simple procedure. The needle goes in and it's over and done. Shot in the arm, a little pain, honey, I'm going for a vaccine. Just swing my arm and I won't complain, honey, I'm going for my vaccine.
Good, have a good time. 12:02 at 560. It's our big noon to 1 hour. Mad Dog Jim Madden's coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We got 318 votes on the survey. I told you it's a biggie. This is probably the most definitive. Well, I tell you what a beautiful day it is here today. Is it raining there?
Yep.
No, come on. And that horrible tropical storm has like whipped up a whole bunch of nasty weather again?
You know it.
No. Sun is shining. It is so beautiful. I'd like to go out and do the show on a balcony, but of course I would have to crawl under the console here to get to the other side. It's kind of amusing because our brilliant, our engineering department, and Joe Costello asked me, he said, how come you have that guest mic on the other side? You know, exactly like the one that's there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a boom with a guest mic on the other side. The only problem being, there's no chair and there's no place to put a chair, and if anybody were to get to the other side, they'd have to crawl under where I'm sitting here and crawl to the other side of the console. But other than that, nice going there, boys. Oh! And the phone still don't work. But other than that, I'm not complaining, though. I have no complaints. Everything is beautiful. 319 votes. What do you call soft drinks? You know, we left one choice off.
What's that?
What do you call soft drinks?
Crap.
Yeah, somebody would have voted for that. In fact, that would have been more cute than those just I never drink that stuff. Anyway, what do you call them? Soda 194. Is that right? 194. That's 60.8%. Coke 64. I don't ever drink that. Schmidt 34. Pop 21. Now we're getting some pop people, okay?
Oh!
Some upstate New York and maybe some Canadians. How's it going, eh?
Chicago, too.
Maybe. Is that what that article said?
No, it is, though. I know that.
Now, how old were you when you left Chicago?
10, but I've been back, and my cousins still call it pop over there.
Oh, and you probably go get that heavy, real thick pizza, you know?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Oh, I don't either. You know, at the time it was okay, but now that I look back on it, each slice weighs 7 pounds, and it's awful greasy.
Yeah, it's no good.
Pizzeria Uno, all those places. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Tonic 6. Tonic is still sucking, and I don't believe anybody calls a Coke. I'll have a tonic, please. Yeah. Likely story. They'll laugh your ass right out of the joint. Anyway, let's get to the important stuff. Street gang founder, a Nobel Peace Prize nominee, cleared for execution for murder conviction. Well, I guess this guy's been all over the place, huh? A convicted killer who co-founded the Crip Street Gang and later became a Nobel Peace Prize nominee has been cleared for execution by a federal appeals court.
All right.
Stanley Williams could be executed by injection as early as next year unless the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals reconsiders its decision. The U.S. Supreme Court intervenes or the governor grants him clemency. Governor Davis. Isn't that his name? Gray. Williams and a high school friend, Raymond Washington, created the notorious Crips gang in L.A. in 1971. Hundreds of spin-offs and copycat gangs have since emerged across the nation. Washington was killed in the gang fight in 1979. Williams Big Took to his fellow gang members. Big Took. That's a great nickname, ain't it? Hey, Big Took. Continues his violent ways and transformed the Crips into a national enterprise. Williams, now 48, was convicted of killing 4 people in 1979. While appealing his death sentence, he has spent time writing children's books and coordinating an international peace effort for youths, all from his 9-by-4-foot cell at San Quentin State Prison. The work has landed him Nobel Peace Prize nominations the last 2 years, but his efforts always haven't swayed prosecutors and police groups who believe he should remain behind bars. He's created one of the biggest criminal networks that the world has ever seen. I think we'll be glad to see him executed, said Deputy Attorney General Lisa Browl, whatever her name is. I don't think writing a few kids' books negates what he's done. Oh, but it's so cute. Williams was sentenced to death in 1981 for fatally shooting a convenience store worker. He was also convicted of killing 2 Los Angeles motel owners and their daughter during a robbery a few days later. Williams claims he's innocent. He said in his appeal that jailhouse informants lied when they testified that he confessed to the murders. Despite its decision on Tuesday, the appeals court seemed sympathetic to Williams' plight. Although his good works and accomplishments since incarceration may make him a worthy candidate for the exercise of gubernatorial discretion, they are not matters that we in the federal judiciary are at liberty to take into consideration, Judge Proctor Hugg Jr. wrote. A spokesman for Governor Davis said it's too soon to know whether the governor will intervene. Barbara Becknell, a journalist who's helped Williams with his publishing career and maintains a website for the condemned inmate, was shaken by the court's ruling. That's incredibly bad news, she said. Williams was nominated again. He was nominated again this year for the Nobel Prize, a move that's drawn sharp criticism from police groups. But, of course, he hasn't won it yet. Not great? They haven't announced the winner yet. Maybe this will be the year. Oh! And then they'll give him the needle. You know, I made a really bad mistake. During that last break, I went in the kitchen in the refrigerator and got me a little Swiss cheese. You know, just a little something to nibble on here during this last hour. Not a good idea. I don't know about you, but does Swiss cheese, like, create certain, like on your tongue and in your throat? You know what I mean?
No.
Certain, like, little irritations. I don't know. It doesn't? Maybe you don't eat Swiss cheese, okay? I don't think Cubans eat Swiss cheese on their horse meat.
Sure we do.
You do?
Yeah.
Now, did you call Wayne Arnold or not?
No.
What a chicken. What a pussy, man. No wonder that Doreen pushes you around a building like that. No wonder they get you to work for free all the time. You're a pussy. You should have just had the ugly Chuck pick up the phone and call Hudson. Do it tomorrow. George won't be back tomorrow. He'll be real sick from getting whatever he's going to get from Zoe tonight. See, I got a surprise, George. You ain't getting nothing from Zoe. You're getting something from Joey. Wouldn't that be something that Zoe turned out to be Joey? Well, I guess you'll find out.
We'll see.
Moving right along. Here's some more bad news. I don't think the audience can stand anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Swiss cheese just, I like it. I like it a lot. But it just, I don't know. It leaves, very often it'll leave my tongue, like, battered and bruised. There are many things in life that you might like a lot, but they'll leave your tongue just wounded and bruised. How much did a media giant own? This story from CBS News. Very disturbing, and just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, from a handful of companies butchering up the entire radio and TV industry, now we just can't. There's no end in sight. Federal regulators will take a new look at rules limiting ownership of newspapers and television and radio with an eye toward loosening restrictions.
Oi!
Man, if they got any looser, they'd be confused with Kathy Willits. The FCC is scheduled to begin a rulemaking process today that is widely expected to produce new regulations that will make it easier for large media companies to merge. Oh, that sounds great. Maybe we can merge with somebody. Since there's all those rumors about the Beasleys, let's merge with anybody. Like that, what was the pork sandwich guy that was calling me a few times? Remember that guy? Always called me from a drive-thru. I think it was at Chuck E. Cheese's. Pork sandwich guy. Oh, yeah. We're worried about you and that merger, the merger. Another crazy person. The clear direction of this is deregulation, said Blair Levin, a former FCC official, now an analyst with Legg Mason. He said the agency will have to address whether eased regulations may limit media diversity. May limit media diversity. Oh. What would people say if their cable companies, one newspaper in their town, half the radio stations, and 30% of the TV stations were all owned by the same company? He said, where do the new lines get drawn? The FCC said in June that it would use this week's meeting to begin official reviews of 2 rules, one concerning the number of TV and radio stations a company can own in one market, another preventing any of the 4 major TV networks from merging with each other. The agency will also examine 2 rules that were rejected by an appeals court this year and sent back to the government. Those rules involved restrictions on the national reach of companies that own multiple TV stations and on companies that want to own 2 TV stations in the same market. The FCC is already looking at a restriction that prohibits one company from owning a broadcast station and newspaper in the same market, as well as a rule that limits radio station ownership. Oh, my God. Pretty soon, Cheap Channel can own every station. You can have Pete Bolger being the PD of every goddamn station in town. The assassin. The agency wants to combine its work on the various rules to make the regulations more consistent and to be able to survive legal challenges. The FCC has said its combined study and any potential changes to the rules are expected to be completed by spring 2003. FCC Chairman Michael Powell, son, of course, of Secretary of State Colin Powell, has expressed skepticism about broad ownership limits and concerns that many of the agency's rules are based on hunches rather than facts. Powell's comments have led to speculation the rules will be relaxed or repealed, leading to a wave of media mergers. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you said it, honey. Bad news. Pretty soon we'll have 2 companies own every goddamn TV station, every radio station, every newspaper, every cable company, every pub tent. They'll be everywhere. They'll be in your house. They'll be in where you work. They'll be deep inside your
rectum.
Everywhere. No reason to get nervous, though. Oh, there's Tom Daschle. What's he saying?
That it's very important for...
Well, it is important. It's important that we get some new copy. Seriously, I want you to get a hold of Clarence and tell him if he doesn't get with it and get with Screw Ann. See, this is the problem. Clarence is a good guy, but he's a little punk, so he doesn't understand that. And nobody takes him seriously. Now, if we had Muff there, who also is hard to take seriously, but at least Muff is like an adult, you know? He's like about 80. And so when he goes back there and says, hey, Screw Ann, you effing bitch, we need some new copy there. Neil's starting to act up again. We get some copy, you know? But when Clarence goes back there, like that, nothing happens. You see what I'm saying? We like Clarence, but Clarence is a little wimpy kid. So if we're going to get anything done, because we have a major copy crisis at QAM. When I first came to the station, I wondered why the other guys on here used to tape their live spots. And then I began to realize they do it because they never get any new copy, and they just get really sick and tired of attempting to make magic out of the same horse poop. You know what I'm saying? How do you do it? How many different ways can you make a slice of Swiss cheese taste? You ever thought about that?
Depends how you cook it.
And not only that, I like melted Swiss cheese though. Do like that a lot. See, now I'm getting hungry. Right about this time every day, I start thinking about where I'm going for lunch and what kind of food I'm going to have. I think I'm having Italian for lunch today. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Maybe like a little baby cow, a little veal parmesan, a little penne pasta on the side. Sounds really good to me. A little minestrone. In fact, if I was right there, I'd go into that new pizza loft, even though it's not open yet. And I bet you they'd cater for me special. I'd take my friend Marcy from Walgreens in there, and we'd sit down and have a private feast at the new pizza loft. We'll test stuff out. 12:13 at 560 WQM. Summertime is still around, man, for another few weeks. And even when it gets into October and sometimes even November, it is just hot as hell in South Florida. Oleomed is the product that will keep you in good health no matter how humid, how hot, how many allergies are flying around. Oleomed is a soft gel capsule. It's got a lot of good stuff for you and your health. It's got the best olive oil you'll find anywhere, combined with vitamins and minerals and herbals to promote health for all different parts of your body. They make one product specifically for your prostate, one for your heart, one for your blood pressure, one for your cholesterol. They've got supplements to promote health in your circulatory system, your digestive, endocrine system, your skin, your bones, even your mind, all using the benefits of the finest, purest olive oil that you'll ever find. And Oleomed's got products for men and females as well. Oleomed's available at Walgreens, Whole Food Markets, Neuro Pharmacy, and Sedano's as well. Go in there and speak in English, see how long you last. Don't forget, if you want more information on this great product, just call their toll-free number, 1-866-OLEOMED. That's 1-866-OLEOMED, and you can order their products on the Internet now. I'm sure you know it, at oleomedamerica.com.
Live and local. This is 560.
The radio's all yours now.
QAM.
Howard David.
Forget about it.
That's what I say. How's that for a funny show idea? If I may borrow a phrase from the great Marty Allen, hello there, everybody in Paradise Land. I'm Howard David. I hope you'll join me each and every Friday for my Forget About It show. That's when I open the phone lines to all three of my regular low-income callers and let them vent on what's bothering them. I was up all night dreaming this one up. At first, I thought of going with hand puppets like Sandy Becker, or maybe a poll to vote for Whisper Quick. But management and I agree. This will be a real showstopper. Now, I run a family-type show here, so I don't want no references to sticks, jigaboos, or faggot jizz guzzlers. Other than that, I promise you a hilarious cacophony of hijinks and open conversation. Forget About It Friday. That goes for listening to 560 WQAM.
Yes. I'm sure it does. 12:18. I'm still eating more Swiss cheese, you know?
Stop it.
I should stop it. Because, first of all, eating on the air is bad. That's why these shows are so much better than sitting down there shoveling food in my puss while I'm on the air. I don't mind doing that, but it's just, it don't sound good. And then you get like mush mouth. And especially when you're reading. I mean, back in the old days, I would sit there and the assholes on the phone, you know, Neil, I think you're really the best in it. You know, And, of course, it's easy to do when you got a mouthful of food. They don't know. But when you have to actually talk, when you have to articulate, you see what I'm saying? For like now, I got a little bit of Swiss cheese in my mouth. Not good. Not good. Maybe I could get some tonic to wash it down. Although I do have my Diet Coke, my caffeine-free, which I wish I had some Champion Light here. They sent me 2 boxes. Only one of them made it here. Don't you hate that?
Is it actually Coke or Pepsi?
No, it's caffeine-free Diet Coke. See, if I wanted caffeine-free Diet Pepsi, I'd probably have to schlep it back from Dominion, which is quite a ways from where I am here. And I only buy, because when you're smart, you know, when you walk around, you're not using a car. You buy your sodas at the convenience store, which I have one right across the street from my place here. So the sodas, the heavy stuff, you buy where it's close. Follow?
Right.
And like regular groceries, which you can buy a whole bunch of stuff, and it's not really heavy, which you have to schlep several blocks, you just buy that at the good store, which have a great 24-hour Dominion not too many blocks away. A beautiful store. And as great as my Publix is there in the acres, this Dominion, well, it's brand new. It's huge. You could eat off the floor. In fact, maybe I'll go in there and do that today. Eat right off the floor. It's fantastic. You've been in Dominion. And what do they have in Chicago? Piggly Wiggly?
Don't remember. I remember Jewel.
Isn't that near like Wrigley Field?
Somewhere near there.
Now, were you ever at Wrigley Field?
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking a real ballpark,
That's
ladies
a real
and gentlemen.
ballpark.
All right. What a beautiful place. What a great place. We did shows. Did George ever tell you?
No.
Murphy's Bleachers across the street there. We did some
Really?
shows on IOD. And George came there the first day with us and helped set it up. And then Disney put him on a plane and sent him back. Okay, you can go back now. We're not playing for any more hotel for you. So George got like a brief taste of Chicago, and that was about it. And we did go to those places, by the way. Not Pizzeria Uno. What's the other one?
I couldn't tell you.
There's another there's several of them famous in there, but they all have that same real super thick. I'll tell you one thing, boy, you like food, Chicago's a great place. Now, Joey C. and his buddies, they were debating whether to come to Toronto or Chicago, and they made the right choice. They had a good time here, but next time he's got a few bucks. Of course, he'll be married by then. Like I said, no, that's okay. She's all right. She's good. She's got a good sense of humor. So next time he and his buddies want to have their reunion, they go to Chicago. They can stay at the, what's that real fancy, at the Ritz-Carlton, right downtown there.
Mm-hmm.
Suspected al-Qaeda financier nabbed. U.S. forces captured a man who's believed to be a top financier for Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda network or the Taliban during an operation in southeastern Afghanistan, the military said yesterday. See that cheese again. Troops also detained at least 8 other people and seized more than 150 Kalashnikov assault rifles, 200 explosive booby traps, a mortar, several cases of hand grenades, rocket launchers, rockets, heavy machine guns, and military communications equipment, said Lieutenant Colonel Martin Schweitzer, commander of the 82nd Airborne's 3rd Battalion. The arrest and assault weapon seizure took place during Operation Champion Strike, which began Saturday and ended this past Tuesday. The operation, involving about 1,000 troops, mostly from the 82nd Airborne Division, was centered in the Burmel Valley, about 150 miles south of the capital of Kabul. The valley is in Paktika province on the border with Pakistan. The operation began shortly after 8 a.m. Saturday with a raid on the Burmel Bazaar, about 6 miles from the Pakistani border. That's kind of like the swap shop, is what I'm hearing. Kind of like the flea market. Between 200 and 300 soldiers surrounded the market and started searching. By late afternoon, soldiers had gone through the 200 buildings in the bazaar, arresting 14 people, including the suspected financier. 8 of them were brought to the U.S. military base in Kandahar. 6 were released. He's a significant target, Schweitzer said. The financier was not identified. It's great to get the bad guys, and now, of course, they're beating the crap out of him to get all the information we can. That's what we should be doing. Beat the crap. Call in the Savak to pull out their fingernails. Call in the Mossad from Israel and just, torture them to within an inch of their life. Don't you think that's a good idea? Exactly. FBI calls search of Boca Anthrax building successful.
All right.
The FBI said yesterday its investigation at the anthrax-tainted former home of the National Enquirer, my very favorite publication in the world, by the way. See, I've done a complete turnaround on that. I used to be one of those skeptics, used to always poo-poo the tabloids. And then over the years, as I became more skeptical about the so-called mainstream publications, and I started reading the Enquirer and the other, the other ones are good for laughs. You know, once in a while the Globe or the Star or the Sun has something that, is accurate, but it's always good for laughs. But the Enquirer gets the accurate stories first, like the Robert Blake story, the O.J. stuff. They're on top of it. So if the stuff about, what's her name? Brittany, pooping her pants, poops I did it again. Anyway, the FBI said yesterday its investigation at the anthrax-tainted former home of the Enquirer would advance the national investigation into last year's attacks. Oh, I'm sure that. In what the FBI called its largest hazardous evidence collection ever, agents and government scientists obtained nearly 5,000 evidence samples during the more than 550 entries into the quarantine building owned by tabloid publisher American Media, Inc. And we love American Media, Inc. Using new techniques to search for large quantities of anthrax spores, investigators... See, I probably should have queued that up if I was going to do this story, but I was too lazy to do it.
Anthrax.
Using new techniques to search for large quantities of
anthrax
spores, investigators hope the return to the building that saw the nation's first fatal
anthrax
attack casualty would revive the stalled 11-month-old investigation. The stalled investigation. Doesn't that sound promising? And they keep bringing this Hatfield guy in because they know they got nobody else to hang their hat on. FBI spokeswoman Judy Orwella declined to say whether investigators recovered the letter that brought
anthrax
into the building and fatally infected photo editor Robert Stevens. The letter is considered a key piece of evidence in the attacks, and investigators hope to compare it to those sent to the congressional offices of Senators Patrick Leahy of Vermont and Tom Daschle of South Dakota. 5 people died in the nationwide attacks. Another AMI employee was hospitalized for weeks but recovered. FBI officials spent 12 days scouring the 3-story, 67,000-square-foot building for clues in their attacks, ending their search on Tuesday. Election day, it's just a coincidence. Federal officials quarantined the building October 7th. Orwella said yesterday that the FBI's crime scene investigation at the AMI building is over and the building is back into AMI hands. Gerald McKelvey, an AMI spokesman, said the company hasn't yet decided what to do with the building. Boca Mayor Stephen Abrams, who said he hasn't been told the FBI is finished, said the city hopes to work with AMI and the federal government in finding a way to clean it up and use it for something. Well, that's in Boca, right?
That building, yeah.
I know somebody. No, but I'm saying it's in Boca. I know some. Maybe you want to move in there.
Forget about it.
Oh. U.S. Senator Bill Nelson, Democrat of Florida, said he'll introduce legislation that will require the federal government to take over the building or provide assistance in cleaning it up. After the quarantine, American Media moved its headquarters to rented offices nearby to publish its 6 outstanding supermarket tabloids, including the Enquirer, the Globe, and, of course, the bizarre but always very entertaining Weekly World News. 353 votes on our very, very important survey today. What do you call soft drinks? Seems to be a nationwide battle going on about this, as we try to define who you people are and what you're all about. Oh, sorry. What do you call soft drinks? Soda, 212. That's 60% soda. I'll have a soda, please. A diet soda? Well, what about if you want like an orange soda? You would call it's still soda, though, right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all soda.
Yeah. See, like here you'd say, I'll have an orange pop. I've heard people say that. I'll have an orange pop. Soda 212, Coke 72, 20%. I don't ever drink that, Schmidt 38. 10.7% of this audience, they don't drink crap like that. They drink a little booze, maybe a little vodka with their lunch, maybe a couple of martinis with several extra olives in it. Pop 25. We're moving up there, baby. We're popping it. And tonic still stuck on 6. I wonder what the Brits call it. Probably the Brits would call it tonic, wouldn't you? Now, in Europe, when you get a Diet Coke, it's called Cola Light. Were you aware of that?
No, I was not.
Well, now you are. See, you learned something on this show already. Besides the fact you're not getting paid and Clarence ain't doing much for me with that sales department, you learned a third thing here. Cola Light. That's what it's called all over Europe. Diet Coke. You don't say Diet Coke. Cola Light. In fact, even on the can it says Cola Light. Even in the can. 1226 at 560 WQM. In fact, when I was over there in Europe in Amsterdam, I saw this ugly guy looked just like Gary Sarner almost every day. He was in the middle of town hanging around. He was everywhere. I couldn't avoid him. Which goes to show you can't get away no matter where you go from the QM sales department, such as they are, you know. Anyway, VIPSportsbook.com is the only sportsbook to be endorsed by all the industry watchdog groups since 1996. I have a feeling, I could be wrong, but you want to take a look at the log, Ugly Chuck? Has Ugly Chuck got the log?
Yeah, I got it.
Take a look at it. Did they put some of these on here 3 times today, which is illegal? I'm going to throw the flag and penalize the water Nazi 15 yards if they did. Are some of these spots on here 3 times today?
I'm checking. It doesn't look like it, but
no.
Look.
Maybe it just feels that way. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the Casino Times News recent issue says you can look, but you won't find a better overall sports book than VIPSportsbook.com. Maybe you're looking for more than just a world-class book that offers 24-hour VIP service and the safety of a leader. How about the highest parlay odds in the universe, up to 2,000 to 1, minimum bets of only $5, and free withdrawals 24 hours a day, and, as if that isn't good enough, a 15% cash bonus added to your first deposit. Man, am I getting hungry. Guys, this isn't some jungle book located like in West Dade. This is Dutch-based VIPSportsbook.com, where you're treated with class and your money is safe. Sign up online and get a 15% cash bonus added to that account, or call them toll-free at 1-866-VIP-BETS, and they'll get you started plunging your brains out. It's easy to get started. Just get online and go to VIPSportsbook.com, and don't forget, when you sign up online, you get a 15% cash bonus. Be a winner at VIPSportsbook.com, where you are the VIP.
We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
The sky is falling.
Almost way too long, Clarence. Call Duff. Come on, Miguel. Get off your duck. Call up Mo and see how she's doing.
Y2K, Windows die when all computers go offline. Y2K, when Windows die, everybody's gonna die.
Oi!
People will panic with murder and havoc. I read that in a magazine, in a comic book store. If you believe it's the end of the world and see the market crashing again for the millennium's a long time, start jumping away.
Top 33 at 560. Here's a great fax from one of our listeners who says, I spent 10 years in the restaurant business, and black people would always ask for grape and orange soda. I think you're right. They like sweet drinks like Kool-Aid. Well, that was Miguel's choice, Kool-Aid. And I think you're right about that, too. And I also think I'm right about Hawaiian Punch. Doesn't that make sense to you if you like something really sweet?
Same difference, right? Kool-Aid, Hawaiian Punch?
Yeah, I would think so. Although not really. I think Hawaiian Punch is even sweeter. Oh, well, Kool-Aid, of course. Now, it all depends. I forget because I haven't drunk it in so long.
You haven't drunken it?
I haven't been drinking it. But don't you have to add sugar to it, or is already? I forget.
To Kool-Aid, you add sugar, yeah.
Right. So Kool-Aid is as sweet as you make it.
Right.
So if you like something extra sweet, maybe it has something to do with like that lip thing, you know, if you have like a certain amount of taste buds in your lips. Do you think we have taste buds in our lips or only on our tongue? You know, like you have real big, I don't know. You have big lips, maybe like, you like something sweet. Anyway, dark folks like sweet. There's no question about that, which is probably why they like watermelon and butter pecan ice cream. Now, it would seem to me that dark folks would love fish food because, boy, you can't give, and Nestle's turtles. Now, did Joe tell you about that?
He said he tried it, yeah.
And what did he say to you?
What did he say? He liked the fish food better.
But he loved the turtles. Don't kid me now. Don't try to turn it around. Because I asked him when he was sitting right there. He said, well, that's a tough call, you know. He didn't want to make me feel bad, but they loved it. The three of them sat in the thing in the other room there, and they were like sucking it down like crazy, and the turtles too. And also, they were buying up all the candies that we have up here. You realize that there are many kinds of candy bars like Crunchies and several others that you can't find in the States?
Oh, you got to send some over here.
No.
Damn it.
You don't need no candy, okay? Chocolate lovers, get it while you can. What is that? A blistering rally on cocoa markets is starting to hit the wallets of chocolate lovers with prices of pure rich products climbing the most. In fact, maybe Nestle's turtle is going to go through the ceiling. Go right through the sky. Addicts who savor the intense, semi-sweet taste of chocolate with high cocoa content are likely to shell out more in coming months as speculators show no signs of curbing a buying frenzy that's kept cocoa prices hovering at 15-year highs. Well, I'll be goddamned. First it's with a goddamn at the gas pump, whatever you're addicted to, like driving. Prices of other sweets with chocolate coatings, however, are less affected since cocoa is only a fraction of the total contents, while in Germany a price war and weak economy has forced makers to swallow the extra cost. Yeah, let them swallow it there, okay? Those Nazi bastards. Although I do love Cologne and Berlin. The way it looks now, we'll have to... And did I tell you that they have the best ice cream in the world in Germany?
No, you didn't.
Don't let anybody bullcrap you. I mean, the gelato in Italy is wonderful, and even in Amsterdam we have a little bit of... but the best ice cream in the world is in Germany. I know that sounds strange, but man, oh man, it is to die for. In fact, if you go to Germany, that's a good chance you might. The way it looks now, we'll have to raise our prices considerably again next year, said an official at Dutch premium chocolate maker Drost, which raised prices by 4% earlier this year. Drost. You ever have Drost chocolates? They suck. So they can raise their prices all they want. They're as tasteless as, like, cardboard. You never had Drost chocolates? D-R-O-E-S-T-E?
Never heard of it.
Good. That's probably why you're still alive. Crap. Drost. I mean, you go, like, at the airport, and you go into the duty-free shops, and they have, like, Godiva chocolates, and every other kind of exotic chocolate under the sun, all these other great Belgian chocolates besides Godiva, and then they got Drost. Now, you're going to buy a bunch of tasteless crap that tastes like cardboard, or you're going to get, like, some Godiva, man. If you want to, like, kill yourself with chocolate, Godiva's the way to go. Make no mistake about it. So anyway, there's the story about the price of chocolate going up. They're just squeezing us every way they can, that's all. If anything's good, if we like it, they just squeeze and squeeze. It's like squeezing a big zit. You know, they squeeze as much as they can get out of us. I'm surprised they just don't pick us up bodily and, like, you know, shake us until every goddamn dime falls out of our pocket. 22 people treated for tuberculosis. This is a fishy story. See, I don't like fish. And when I read a story like this, although I do like shrimp, a shrimp fisherman whose tuberculosis went untreated for months infected at least 22 other people, officials said. The 31-year-old man, whose name was not released, had laryngeal tuberculosis, one of the most infectious forms because it became transmitted during normal speech, not just sneezing or coughing, said Joseph Jablecki, program manager for TB control in Mobile County, Alabama. The man had the disease for nearly 8 months, and his weight had fallen from 145 to 95 pounds when he was flown to a New Orleans hospital at the end of July. 145 to 95 pounds. Of 86 people tested, 22 have tested positive so far and were being given medication. While they had the infection, they had not developed a full-blown disease. Test results of some of the people were pending. We believe we pretty much made contact with everybody he's exposed, Jablecki said. Those who haven't cooperated with the follow-up testing need to realize this can be a highly contagious, deadly disease. After intensive treatment at the hospital, man was released in mid-August. He was sent back to Alabama with a banjo on his knee and told to report to the Mobile County Health Department. While he was not contagious at that point, he was told to wear a mask as a precaution and continue his medication. Just walk around. If Boca can walk around with that wig on his head, you can certainly walk around with a mask on your puss. In fact, now that they mention that, I have seen people walking around with, like, have you ever seen that? Like in an elevator, seen people with, like, some kind of a thing over their mouth?
If you're in the elevator.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can I apologize again to that guy? I'm so sorry. You know something? We never saw him again either. The whole time I was there, I never saw him again. Well, I don't think you'll see him no more. He's like Paulie in The Godfather. Dropped a big bomb, won't see him again. Probably left the building, probably resigned. I wouldn't blame him. And like I said, I'm in a fog. I was thinking about that again the other day in the shower. I was like laughing my ass off. 370 votes. I think we're going to make 400 before the end of the show at 1 o'clock. You know that? Because it's a very, very important question on the poll today. It's not like some mamby-pamby political thing, you know, like who you're going to vote for, because most of you aren't going to vote anyway. You're a bunch of liars. In fact, the people that said neither one on that poll yesterday, they were probably being honest. Most of these people aren't going to vote, especially after this debacle this time. I'm going to, though. I'm going to go over. And that reminds me, it slipped my mind. CNN just had on a couple minutes ago. It looks like they're not going to have a recount. That's what Secretary of State Jim Smith says. He says that Bill McBride looks like he's going to be the winner. He's got an 8,000 vote margin, or very close to it, over Janet Reno. And it looks like Bill McBride is going to kick Jeb Bush's ass in November. Man, you think Noel was on drugs the other day. That whole family's going to be in there sharing with her pretty soon. Their worst nightmare, Bill McBride, war hero, good all-around guy, a guy from the West Coast from Tampa, so he's got that kind of Yahoo appeal as well. And, you know, the other great thing he's got going for him in certain parts of Dade?
Yeah.
He's not Janet Reno.
Excellent.
You put all those together, and you got a very formidable opponent, okay? A guy who in just a couple of weeks came from oblivion, from nobody had any, even his family didn't know who the hell he was. And all of a sudden he kicks Janet Reno's shaky ass. And I know most of you people out there, you Democrats, voted for Janet Reno. Bad mistake. Bad move. Trust me when I tell you, maybe licking your wounds from getting, don't be crying, oh, we want to recount. Just to be happy. Because the best thing we can do is to debush ourselves in November. Have you heard the news about the 3.95% mortgage?
Yes.
Well, it's true. So if you want to do something really positive for yourself and for your cash flow, now's the time to buy a home or refinance your existing home at the unbelievably low rate of only 3.95%.
Unbelievable.
If you have a 7.5% mortgage, the 3.95% rate would save you over 3.5%, or over $3,500 the first year on a $100,000 mortgage. Make things easy on yourself by picking up that phone and calling Financial Group 1-800-940-LEND. That's 1-800-940-5363. Getting a mortgage anyplace else is going to cost you thousands of dollars extra each year. Think of all the money you can save with a 3.95% mortgage. Financial Group has helped thousands of customers just like you. Put your financing in the best possible position. Get yourself that 3.95% mortgage. Call Financial Group today. Tell them that old Todd Dreck, useless as a dog turd Todd Dreck, told you to call 1-800-940-5363. That's 1-800-940-5363. They're an equal housing lender. Credit restrictions do apply. And don't forget, rates subject to change if you wait too damn long.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560, QAM.
Regresa a Canadá, judío bastardo.
No.
Would you dance if I asked you to dance? Just for fun, would you hop on my back?
Okay.
Darling, please, make me feel fine. Would you invade my hall tonight?
Okay.
Would you tremble if I touched your lips? Would you laugh if I humped your hips? Now I just die if you did the thing I love by invading my hole tonight. It looks just like a zero, baby.
Oh.
I know I might expect some pain. It will be easier on me, baby, if you could find the K and Y.
Rectum.
If we danced, would you unbuckle my pants? Would you cry if I held my butt high? Oh, darling, please, make me feel fine. And just invade my hole tonight. Oh, please invade my hole tonight.
Yeah, he used to be my good close personal buddy, Enrique, and then he made it really, really big, when he started taking his clothes off and doing those emotional, sexual videos. Now I'm small potatoes, man. He used to send me those personally autographed CDs. How do you like it? Yeah, that stuff. Happens all the time, man. Just like Johnny Depp, there's another one.
Some people.
What does that mean? In other words, when you're rich and famous and very important, then you're going to come back and see us. Not. 380. No, you won't. 383 votes on our poll. What do you call soft drinks? Soda, 229. Coke, 79. I don't ever drink that Schmidt 42. Pop, 26. And tonic's got another one, 7 for tonic.
Oh!
This is enough to make me never want to go back to Europe. This is a story from CBS News. Europe polled on why 9/11 happened. According to a recent poll, a majority of people surveyed in 6 European countries believe American foreign policy is partly to blame for the 9/11 attacks. I just don't like their attitude. Every time they get in trouble, they want us to go bail them out. But in the meantime, researchers interviewed people in Britain, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Poland for the survey, which was done for the Chicago Council on Foreign Relations and the German Marshall Fund of the United States. The French were the most critical of U.S. What did I tell you about those pigs, huh? Those frogs. The French were most critical of U.S. foreign policy, with 63% of the frogs saying U.S. foreign policy was partly to blame for the attacks. The Italians were the least critical. 51% of them blamed U.S. policy for 9/11. Among the other four countries, 57% of the Brits, 52% of Germans, 59% of the Dutch, and 54% of the Poles saw such a connection. 59% of the Dutch. What did I tell you about them, huh? Great country, nasty people. Marshall Boughton, the president of the Chicago Council on Foreign Relations, said Tuesday the poll found that many Europeans also disagreed with how the U.S. has handled conflicts in the Middle East. Boughton said that when he was in France, some residents told him they perceive American policy as anti-Muslim. They believe it's provided the sea in which the terrorists can swim, so to speak, he said. Europeans are more critical of Bush and his handling of foreign policy than Americans. 56% of Europeans say it's poor. 38% say it's excellent or good. Americans gave the Bush administration's foreign policy higher marks, 40% rating it as good. Despite their differences, Americans and Europeans share many of the same views, said Steve Grant, an official with the German Marshall Fund. He said the 9/11 events have strengthened the bond between the U.S. and its European allies. It brought Americans to be more internationalist, recognizing that America's got more of an important role in the world. At the same time, it's made Europeans more sensitive to the threats, and you see a real readiness on the part of Europeans to address these new threats. Well, as far as making the Americans more aware, I don't buy it. I just read a whole story about that in one of the papers up here the other day, I think over last weekend, saying that in spite of the attacks, Americans still have no idea about the rest of the world, even Canada, eh? They haven't got any idea where to find it on a map with both hands, much less all those European countries and those Asian countries. Forget about it. No chance. You think if you went out to the goddamn Dayland, for example, with a globe of the world, and said, okay, show me where, and the countries were unnamed, show me where Iraq is or Afghanistan? How many of those people, do you think, out of 100 people, do you think could show you where it was?
Most don't know where Florida is. Come on.
Yeah, but they sure can vote. They sure know how to vote. Make no mistake about it. See, this is the problem with Florida. You got too many goddamn old dead people walking around pretending they're alive. You got too many old Cubans who are living in the goddamn past. Maricon, that crap. That's a disgrace. That's a shame. And this Armando Gutierrez with his big fat pupik and that ugly white shirt, which you ought to wash once in a month at least. You know, making excuses. Well, they thought it meant gay marriage. You know something? That tells me one thing. Stupid. Because Mayor Pinga Pequeña and others went on Spanish language radio. They explained it. They let them know what it was all about. So that's just an excuse for bigotry. And they take these polls and talk about liars. Liar, liar, your thing is on fire, man. All you silly old Cuban queens. Who the hell are you kidding? Straight back on a banana boat. Any Cubans over the age of 100, you're out. You're going out this weekend. In fact, what we're going to do is have you swim back home. Maybe you can find Alien on the way. Don't forget, by the way, speaking of Cubans, George and Miguel and Boca Brian, who's going to wear a guayabera tonight, and that silly wig. Treasure Island, located off the Palmetto, just north of the 122nd Street exit. Stop by for some really embarrassingly bad QAM prizes, because we have no promotional budget, okay? And because Doreen probably gives the good stuff to Mo. And the prizes, too. And Budweiser specials. Plus, check out this week's feature, Zoe Britton. That's tonight at Treasure Island. When's Doreen going to be performing at Treasure Island? What week is that going to happen? 12:52 at 560 WQAM. Mattress shopping is a gigantic waste of time. Well, you see, it's a good segue because I was just thinking about a big ass.
Rectum.
And, of course, you want to put your big ass on a comfortable mattress. And the way to do that is call our good friends at Dial a Mattress, the experts. People who really know their crap, man. 1-800-MATTRESS. When you dial that number, you'll be immediately, if not sooner, connected to a betting expert consultant. Or is it an expert betting consultant? In other words, to make a long story short, somebody who understands what it's all about. And they'll hook you up with exactly the brand and kind of mattress if you want like a queen or a king or a twin or whatever, and whichever brand you prefer. They've got only the best, no off-brands. They got Serta, Sealy, Simmons, King Coil. How can you beat that? And their prices every day of the year, every day of your life are unbeatable. Not some phony sale where they give you like a bait and switch and send you some mattress that you wouldn't buy with somebody else's money. They give you the best, and they deliver it to you when it's convenient for you any day of the week, 7 days, within a 2-hour window that you pick, like 11 to 1, noon to 2, 1 to 3, 2 to 4, 3 to 5, 4 to 6, etc., and so on. So if you want a fantastic, and they give you the 30-day in-home comfort guarantee to let you try it out the smart way up to 30 days to make sure it's right for you and your back. So if the old mattress has had it, get you a great new one at an unbeatable price, the easiest way in the world by just making one simple phone call to Dial a Mattress, 1-800-MATTRESS, 1-800-MATTRESS, or look them up on that World Wide Web at mattress.com.
Live and local. We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Oh, God, Neil.
president, you know. Oh, that's my limo right outside.
Nixon tape-recorded calls and broke into hotels.
That's right.
Gerald Ford could trip and fall on tiny peanut shells.
Oh, yeah.
I never trusted one damn thing Jimmy Carter said.
He's a liar.
Reagan's biggest problem was his wife's big old damn head.
That's funny.
Now we got a president who does much more than flirt.
Yeah.
Touch the knob, you get the job. Just lift that tiny skirt.
Whoa.
If you lined up all his girlfriends, they'd fill the arena.
Sing it.
Unzip his fly, it's the third eye. Clinton's big old wiener.
Right. Hey, that is very funny. And true, too.
Clinton's big old wiener.
I like this song. Let's do another verse. This time I'll help you.
He's partial to young ones who make their homes down south. The only job requirement is
have a pretty mouth.
Thin or tall, fat or small, they all fall in his trap.
Let's go, honey. Take a letter. Sit here on my lap.
You might bump into Slick Willie at your local bar. In the parking lot, it's special counsel Kenneth Starr.
If I see two foxy fillies, I sit down between her.
He'll touch your top and he won't stop. He's thinking with his wiener.
All right. Oh, that's right. I'm thinking.
Clinton's big old wiener.
Thank you. I do rather well, don't I? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sure do miss him a lot. I'll tell you that. I'm sure Miguel doesn't share my sentiments, but I miss him a lot. Make no mistake about it. You'd watch if he had a TV show, wouldn't you?
Who? I'm sorry?
Anyway. Excellent. Just a sensational way to bring this affair almost to a close. I broke a record today, by the way. You'll be very proud of me and pleased to know that I have my clothes on, my socks, and my shoes. And you want to know why?
Why?
Because it's Thursday. Thursday is Maid Day. Not Mayday, but Maid Day. The maid comes this afternoon.
Are you getting maid today?
I'm getting maid. No, I'm going to be a maid man. Me and Joe Pesci. No, the maid comes in the afternoon Thursday, so like I get out of here right at 1 o'clock. So during the breaks, I take the opportunity to, like, clean up a little bit, put on a real shirt, because I'm sitting here doing the show in my walking shorts, with no shirt, and believe me, it's not a pretty sight. So at any rate, I'm all ready to go. I got even my shoes on, my beautiful shoes from my New Balance. I'm ready to go. Outstanding. 392 votes on the poll today. What do you call soft drinks? I still wish we'd have put crap on there. That would have been good. But soda, 234. In this crowd, we got a lot of New Yorkers out there. We got a lot of people from the Northeast. We have many, many people from all of these places. Coke, 79. I don't ever drink that. Schmidt, 45. Pop, only 27. So we don't have too many upstate New York people listening, I guess. Or certainly not too many Canadians, eh? I'll wait till hockey season starts, man. You already got my tickets in the mail yesterday at home. Ready for the hockey season?
No.
Going to be a long, bad one, man. Going to be weak. And last but not least, tonic with 7. The Mad Dog will be a tonic for your ears at 1 o'clock. He's coming up next. The Humper this afternoon. And why is Beano Cook on the air?
Right.